2014 KettleersLive baseball hits the air in 3,
2, 1.
Norwood, a shot to left. Warren goes back. It's out of here. He knew it from the crack of the bat. We're tied at 2. 0-1, a 2-2 tie. Wiseman's at third. 0-1 pitch. A long shot to right. It's way back. Get out of here. Home run. Brendan Hendricks, a 3-run bomb. Kettleers lead 5-2.
2014 KettleersLive baseball lives here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Now, with the Kettleers warm-up, here's Brendan Glasheen.
The All-Star break is over, and we're back at Lowell Park after a 2-day layoff. Greg Baraz and Brendan Glasheen live here at Lowell Park in Kettleers, Massachusetts. The Kettleers, with 6 games to go, take on the Bourne Braves and try to finish the season series with a 4-2 advantage. And Greg, the last couple of days have been pleasant for the Kettleers. Some time off. We chatted with Logan Taylor before the game today, a guy who's played in every game this year for Kettleers. The layoff must have been nice. The All-Star game on Sunday, the off day Monday. This team clearly, based on the way it's played, needed the time off.
Well, they've only scored 2 runs in their last 20 innings of play. Those 2 runs came both in that 6-2 loss against the Wareham Gatemen here on Friday, in which Kettleers managed only 2 hits. Wareham only managed 2 hits but scored 6 runs because of 6 Kettleers errors. And then Saturday night against the Orleans Firebirds, Kettleers only had 2 hits after the 3rd inning. Both of those came in the top of the 11th inning. The Firebirds bullpen was unbelievably efficient against the Kettleers, and give the Kettleers all the credit in the world for pitching a very good, complete game. But at the end of the day, if you can't score a run in the first 10 innings, eventually somebody's going to break through. And for the second time this year, the Kettleers surrender a walk-off on a walk.
Kettleers is 3-7 in their last 10 games played. They have 4 occurrences this year where they've lost at least 3 straight games. Things have been going backwards for this club. They're going with the guy today, though, on the mound that pitched very well last week at Stony Brook Field in Brewster. The best start we saw from a Kettleers pitcher this year, Vince Fiore, the South Carolina Gamecock, went 7 innings, was dominant, a guy we didn't even think would go into the 6th or 7th frames in that ball game. He set the tone, and hopefully that carries over today.
Fiore walked 1 guy in the first inning against the Brewster Whitecaps on that Monday, but he didn't walk anybody else after that. Fiore scattered 5 hits over 7+ innings. He pitched into the 8th inning. The key for Fiore, keeping the ball down, making sure that his changeup is working. But Brendan, this Bourne team is a completely different team on the road than they are at home. They're only hitting .228 on the road. Their ERA is over 4 away from Doran Park. This is a team that's beatable on the road. The Kettleers have beat them twice here at Lowell Park, and in all 5 games that the Kettleers have faced the Bourne Braves, Bourne has a .607 ERA. So while Bourne may be the best team in the Western Division, they've had their struggles against Kettleers.
Right now, they're the best team overall in the entire Cape Cod Baseball League. They have locked up a playoff spot, not officially the #1 seed in the West because Falmouth is still eligible to catch them. Of course, the Kettleers right now, if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, would take on these Braves in the first round of the playoffs. Today, Greg Baraz caught up with Brian Scott to chat about today's ball game and perhaps what this layoff did for Kettleers going forward into the playoff run. It's time for the Roberts Report on the Kettleers warm-up. Standing by with Mike Roberts is Greg Baraz.
Now joined on the Scott Scoop on the Roberts Report by assistant coach Brian Scott. And coach, we go back to Saturday night's game against the Orleans Firebirds, and a critical moment, in my opinion, was Drew Jackson's bunt back to Kyle Toomey, in which Jackson Glines was forced out at home plate. Do you think that was a result of that being a bad bunt, or do you think it was more of a result of the pitcher just making a good play?
I think the pitcher just made a good play. I think that it was a little bit in on Drew, so if the pitcher would have been even a little bit more outside, then he definitely would have got it down to where he wanted it to go, and that's baseball.
Now, Coming into the last 2 ball games, you've only scored a combined 2 runs in the last 2 games. Against Wareham, you only had 2 hits. What's been wrong with the offense, in your opinion, and what do you think needs to change in order to break out tonight against the Bourne Braves and Andrew Sopko?
That feels like a month ago, to tell you the truth, with a couple days off, but I think the guys are good to go now, and we know this is a good ball club, but we also know that this is the home stretch. We had a good chat today, and I think the guys are ready to go.
Do you think that after his last start, in which he went 7 shutout innings against Brewster, that Vinny Fiore, after a 3-game losing streak, is the right guy to have out there today to stop the bleeding?
Oh, definitely. We loved what we saw from Vinny. We loved what we saw from him before the last start, but especially the last start, so we're excited to see him throw today.
Bourne's a team that you've played extremely well this year. 3-2 against the Bourne Braves. Have won both games that you've faced against them here at Lowell Park. Do you think that there's anything that goes into having a team's number, or do you think it's just coincidentally how you play on a certain day?
I think it can be coincidentally. It's just coincidental, I think, but I mean, a lot of it's the starting pitcher that you run into that day, or just the streak that you're on. I mean, there's just so many factors. I don't really think, especially with the caliber of players on the Cape, that it's having a team's number.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. Go out and get a win today.
Thanks, Greg.
That was the Scott Scoop on the Roberts Report with assistant coach Brian Scott. We'll be back with more of the Kettleers warm-up after this.
And we always appreciate when Brian Scott fills in for Mike Roberts on the Roberts Report. Of course, Greg calls it the Scott Scoop. Now, one thing he mentioned there, Greg, that we want to look out for in these next 6 games, he mentioned the talent across the entire league. They don't like to micromanage these opponents. However, based on the success this ball club has had against Bourne in particular, it's hard to ignore the Kettleers wouldn't want to see this team, but the pitcher they're throwing today is a guy we have not seen this year. It's not Jimmy Herget. It's not Ryan Kellogg. This guy's a different guy. It's Andrew Sopko.
Andrew Sopko is a guy who, in his first 2 starts, went 6 and 7 innings and kept it under 2 runs apiece, but he has struggled in his last few starts. In his last start against Hyannis, he gave up 4 runs and only 4 innings of work, scattering 7 hits. And you'll hear more about this later on in Broadcaster's Corner, but Sopko is a guy that will go out and get after you. He comes from Gonzaga University, not a great starting staff out there in Spokane, Washington, but Sopko, he's a new face. That's more of what it is. A 2-1 record and a 5.06 ERA across 26 and 2/3 innings pitched. He is really the one weak spot in a Bourne rotation that includes Travis Bergen, Ryan Kellogg, and Jimmy Herget, who are a big 3, to say the least.
Sopko gets the start against Vince Fiore, Greg Morans, and Brendan Glasheen here with you on the Kettleers warm-up. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at Kettleers for updates throughout the game, and check us out on the web at kettleers.org for game highlights and game stories from today's and previous games. Before the ball game, I caught up with Logan Taylor. He is starting his 38th game. He's one of just 5 players in the Cape League to have played in every game this year. I'm sure Logan appreciated the time off. It's Hot Off the Kettle with Logan Taylor.
See which Kettleer is heating up on today's edition of Hot Off the Kettle with Brendan Glasheen.
Game number 38 of the season being played here at Lowell Park, and one Kettleer that's played in every game this year is Logan Taylor. He joins us now for Hot Off the Kettle. Now, Logan, just mentioned it, game 38. You've played in every game so far. These last couple of days must have been nice to have some time off.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all needed a break, just a couple of days to get our bodies rested. And I think we're all feeling pretty good and glad to be back at the park.
Of course, this is the stretch run now with 6 games to go. You guys have some divisional games coming up. You have Hyannis, you have Bourne tonight, Falmouth to close out the year. You guys are trying to clinch that final playoff spot. I'm sure Mike Roberts has emphasized that. What's the mindset overall? It seems like you're a clubhouse guy or a leader that he trusts to play every day. So, I mean, for you, what's your perception of the whole thing?
Just everybody's got to be focused at every single pitch. You can't take a pitch off, like Coach Roberts has been saying, and everybody has the same goal, and that's just to play hard and do what you can to win, and we want to go on and keep playing.
Now, what's changed for you at the plate based on the first half of the year to the second half of the year? You've hit safely in 13 of your last 14. I don't know if there's been an approach difference or something in your swing. What is there something in particular you might have changed to get going in the second half as opposed to the first half?
I was just trying to see the ball as late as I could and swing at better pitches, and I don't know, just been getting lucky, I guess, putting a pretty good swing on good pitches, and good things happen.
And finally, you know, you look at some guys that you have on this team that played in the College World Series, a lot of competitiveness involved. For this stretch run for you, what's the exciting factor about, maybe playing some competitive baseball games and, that hope to win, that ambition to win? How does that feel coming up the next couple weeks?
It feels good because we don't play really competitive ball until February when we open back up at school. So we're all ready to get it going and hopefully play well enough to get into playoffs. And then it's just all about who gets hot at the right time.
All right. Good luck tonight against Bourne.
Appreciate it. Thank you. God bless.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Yep. Logan Taylor joining us for Hot Off the Kettle. He's been hit safely 13 of the last 14 games. We'll see him later on the Kettleers warm-up on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Welcome into Broadcaster's Corner, where we see what's going on with the opposing team from the guys who know them best. Standing by with the Bourne broadcast team, here's Greg Mraz.
My guests on Broadcaster's Corner today are Sam Hyman and Kerry Crowley, play-by-play broadcasters for the Bourne Braves. Sam, we'll start with you. Home and home against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, a team that has struggled all season long. You guys gave up a combined 23 runs in those two games. Normally, Bourne pitching has been pretty good. What happened?
Well, I just struggled to the entire game. I mean, it was an offensive showdown in the second matchup where Bourne really battled back in the game, had a 3-run home run from Xander Wheel to tie things up at 7. But defensively, it was just rough. The pitching staff got roughed up, and it wasn't like they went to their bread and butter where they would consistently strike out guys and not walk a lot of guys. They just gave up hits. 20 hits in one game, that was the most. You date back to the Chatham game where they had 20 hits allowed as well. So they really went back to a struggling time. They've lost 3 in a row, and they've gotten out hit 42-21 in those games. So they've really struggled to hit the baseball more so than do pitching.
Now, Kerry, tonight's starter, Andrew Sopko from Gonzaga. He's a guy that got off to a hot start early in the year, but he has faltered in his last couple of starts. In his last start against Hyannis, he only went 4 innings, gave up 4 runs on 7 hits. Not what you expected based upon the beginning of the year. What's changed since the beginning of the year, and what does he have to do to be at his best?
I think you saw that ERA balloon a little bit just as a result of facing the Falmouth 3 times, one of the best hitting teams in the league. Sopko faced them in 3 of his first 4 starts this season, so that kind of changed his mindset a little bit. He was trying to do a little too much, I thought, but he's a strike thrower. He'll go at it, and he'll let his defense play, but he does lead this Bourne Braves squad in strikeouts. He can buckle down and get hitters out when he needs to. He's good at getting out of jams, so when he's at his best, he's not allowing too many hits, and he is striking out a lot of guys.
Now, the Braves and the Kettleers, the last 2 games at Doran Park that they have played have not been close. June 30th, 16-6, Bourne loses to Cotuit. And then the last game just a week ago, Bourne beats up on Cotuit 12-4. Why do you think there have not been a whole lot of close games?
It's a tough question, Greg. And actually, when you get back to the first 2 times these 2 teams played, 1-run ball games, and it looked like an incredible series was going to shape up between these 2 ball clubs, meeting also last year in the championship game for the Western Division. So I really thought that it would be that kind of final, but the last 2 times just been lopsided affairs. Both teams can really hit the baseball, but they haven't hit the baseball well in the exact same game. So when they do that, that should shape up for a really good offensive showdown.
Final question for you, Kerry. Final 6 games of the year starting here today. What does Bourne need to do to make sure that Falmouth doesn't catch them?
Well, win their games. It's as easy as that. They play Cotuit, they play Falmouth, they play Wareham. So they're playing against teams from the West right now. They need to go back to that strong starting pitching, regroup after the All-Star break, and really get in a rhythm in terms of hitting up in the order 1, 2, 3, 4. Richie Martin's been setting the table for this squad consistently, even during the 3-game losing streak. So if the Bourne Braves are able to feed off the energy that Martin and Mark Laird provide at the top of the order, and they're able to get strong starts, 5 to 6 innings from this pitching staff, I think they can go back to being the top team in the Cape Cod Baseball League that they've been for most of the season.
Well, Sam and Kerry, my thanks to you. That was Broadcaster's Corner. Lineups and first pitch coming up next. It's Andrew Sopko of the Bourne Braves versus Vince Fiore of the Cotuit Kettleers coming up next on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association wanted to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
It's time for Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Now, with lineups and first pitch, here's Brendan Glasheen.
Final matchup of the year between the Bourne Braves and Cotuit Kettleers. It's played right here at Lowell Park. Greg Moraz and Brendan Glasheen on hand with you on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The Kettleers look to improve to 4-2 against the Cape League's best team overall across the board. Let's give you the starting 9 for the visiting Bourne Braves. Leading off, the shortstop from Florida, Richie Martin Jr. Brett Sullivan hits second. He's over at second base. Mark Laird, the right fielder from LSU, bats third. Xander Wheel, the DH, batting cleanup. Blake Davey, the big first baseman from UConn, bats fifth. In the sixth hole, Blake Alamon, he's at third tonight. Harrison Bader, the center fielder, also from Florida, hits seventh. Gavin Collins, the catcher, hits eighth. And batting ninth, the left fielder from Georgia, Stephen Wren.
Around the outfield, Jeremy Taylor, Jackson Glines, and John Norwood from left to right. Logan Taylor, Kyle Holder, Jordan Ebert, and Brendan Hendricks around the horn from third to first. Trace Barrera behind the plate catching pitches from the lefty from South Carolina, number 35, Vince Fiore.
Vince Fiore getting the start for the Kettleers is second on the team in wins behind both Adam Witt and Logan James in those opportunities. Vince Fiore's been okay. The ERA at 4.56 with a 4-1 record. He has started 5 games and has pitched in 7 total ball games for Cotuit. In 23 2/3 innings, he has struck out 20. He's walked 11 and allowed 23 hits. His last start, a victory against the Brewster Whitecaps, the best start we've seen from a Kettleer all year long. Fiore went 7 innings, pitched into the 8th at Stony Brook, allowed 5 hits, no runs, walked 1, and that was back in the first inning. He struck out 4 and faced 27 Brewster Whitecaps. So, Greg, according to what we've seen today, this is the right guy to have on the mound to close this last stretch of 6 games.
Well, he's got to make sure that he keeps the ball down. He's got to make sure that he has an efficient first inning. The one thing that he did not have in that start against Brewster was an efficient first inning. He loaded the bases but was able to get out of a jam, and I think the key for Vince Fiore is being able to work around the corners, but if you can't work the corners, just make sure that you get the ball in the strike zone.
Fiore retired his final 11 batters in that game against the Whitecaps, in which the game entered the 8th inning. So he's going up against this Bourne team that has lost 3 straight themselves. Both clubs looking to snap a trio of losses. Bourne, looking at their slate of ball games as of late, they lost Thursday the 24th, 7-0 against YD. The big home-and-home matchup with the Hyannis Harborhawks. Right now, they look like the hottest team in the league, considering they were in the basement of the league with Wareham. Now Hyannis is in that the third slot in the Western Division. Cotuit could be the team that's in jeopardy of losing a playoff spot. That would call for a major collapse, considering the ground that Wareham has to make up.
I think it's more about playing a good game here today, though, Brendan, because the Kettleers in the last 2 ball games, they have not played good games, and that has resulted in 2 runs over their last 20 innings.
A nice moment between a Longhorn and Gator. Trace Barrera and Richie Martin Jr. shake hands prior to today's game as Martin Jr. bats from the right side. Wears number 12, facing the lefty Fiore. First pitch, and it's not a pitch, as home plate umpire Tim Farwig calls time. Perfect time for our umpires of today's game. They're brought to you by Friendly's Ice Cream. Home plate umpire Tim Farwig, over at first base PJ McGonsville, and over at third Scott Bova. Fiore into the windup, first pitch of today's game. A fastball slapped over to short. Logan Taylor's on the run, fetches it, throw to first in time. To retire Martin Jr., a player that's reached base 30 times this year. He's reached base 35 out of 37 games. He joins Logan Taylor as a guy that's played in every game this year. So Martin Jr. retired on the first out of the ball game, but a guy we probably will see on base at one point today.
Martin's hitting over 320 on the road, and deservedly so. He's been in the leadoff spot. He's been playing every game, and he's been a stalwart after hitting under 200 last season.
One of 3 position players that made the All-Star game for the Bourne Braves. First pitch fastball on the way to Brett Sullivan on the outside corner. The left-handed hitter playing second base today from the University of Pacific. Pereira puts down the sign, the 0-1. Curveball slapped to the right into the dugout of Bourne. Fiore's ahead 0-2 on Brett Sullivan. Richie Martin Jr., Mark Laird, and Blake Davey, the three All-Stars that helped the Western Division capture a 5-0 win at Doran Park. The Braves, the hometown team, 0-2. Fastball, a broken bat. It's sliced over by Fiore. Taylor picks it up, throw to first in time to get Brett Sullivan a back-to-back roundouts. And Fiore, the way he let go of the baseball, he let his body go towards home plate, and the bat came flying at him. He's all right. Wasn't hit. And he's got 2 groundouts to start the game. Brings up Mark Laird, another left-handed hitter in the lineup. A slight open stance as he climbs in. Bourne rocking the white, blue, and red unis. First pitch, it's slapped over to second. Ebert picks it up. It goes off the lip of his glove. Scored an error on Ebert over at second base. A simple, slow-hit ground ball. Barely had to move to his left. Fumbles it, and now Bourne's got their first base runner today.
Ebert, as Nick Eicholtz and Travis Duke said to us off the air, he got grilled out for making that error in the 3rd inning against Wareham back on Friday, but the Kettleers then seemingly made 5 errors in that 6th inning, none of them, though, from Jordan Ebert.
Xander Wheel, the DH from Vanderbilt, steps in from the right side. The lefty, Vince Fiore, throws a first pitch fastball in the outside corner at 87. Fiore ahead 0-1. Xander Wheel, there's number 33. The unis, white numbering with a white stripe down the side of the shirts. Navy blue shirts overall with some red sleeves hanging out. 0-1, swing and a miss. Change up, tails away, Wheels out in front. The count, 0-2. Wheel hitting .279, 17 of 61 on the year. Has blasted 4 homers and has driven in 14. Puts up the backhand, asks for time. The bat holds just by his right shoulder. Barrera setting up outside, 0-2. Fastball over the heart of the plate. Norwood cuts over a few steps to his right, leaps a bit, and makes the catch to retire the side. An error by Ebert over at second base gives Bourne a base runner, but nothing doing in the top half of the first. We'll go to the home half at Lowell Park. No score between Cotuit and Bourne right here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and Barnstable-Mashpee, Channel 99 and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College. Located in Milton, Massachusetts, it offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College. Located in Milton, Massachusetts, it offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years.
Last of the first inning back at Lowell Park. Greg Moraz and Brendan Glasheen on hand on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. 1 through 9 for the Kettleers offensively. Jackson Glines in center. Jamison Fisher, the DH, hitting second. John Norwood batting third for the first time all year. He's out and right. Trace Barrera, the cleanup man. He's behind the plate. Brendan Hendricks bats fifth. He's the first baseman. Kyle Holder hits sixth. He's over at short. Logan Taylor, the third baseman, hitting seventh. Jordan Ebert hits eighth. He's over at second. And Jeremy Taylor in left field, batting ninth against Andrew Sopko. First pitch fastball from the righty from Gonzaga. A fastball in the inside half by the knees of the left-handed hitting Jackson Glines.
Stephen Wren, Harrison Bader, and Mark Laird from left to right in the outfield. Blake Alamon, Richie Martin Jr., Brett Sullivan, and break.
Change up low and inside. 1-1 to Glines.
Blake Davey at first. Gavin Collins behind the plate catching pitches from the righty from Gonzaga, Andrew Sopko.
Lions a 266 average, has a homer and 10 RBIs on the year. Nubs it down the third baseline. It goes foul. Picked up by Aleman, the third baseman. The Bourne Braves have really crept downwards when it comes to the pitching and batting totals on the year. More specifically, team ERA and team batting average. A team that was towards the top in both categories. They've now dropped down to 6th in each respective spot. The 1-2 curveball swung on and missed. A bender that cuts right to left on the outside corner gives Sopko his first strikeout. The Lions down on strikes. Good start for Sopko. From Missoula, Minnesota. Went to Loyola Sacred Heart High School. 6'2", 200-pound right-handed pitcher. Righties into the windup. First pitch to the left-handed hitting Jamison Fisher. Product of southeastern Louisiana. Takes a change up on the outer half. 0-1 to Fisher. Hitting in the 2-hole today. Of course, the sad news for the Kettleers as the 0-1 comes. Change up. Catches the corner on the outside. Tim Farwig, the aggressive strike call. 0-2. The sad news that Rhett Wiseman, no longer with the club, gone with a fractured right hand. Was hit by a pitch against Orleans on Saturday night. 0-2. Change up away. 1-2 on Jamison. Fisher hitting .308 with 7 RBIs. Second most at bats on the club with 117 to Logan Taylor. Slices it to the left. Range is foul by the fans standing down the left field line for the Kettleers. Count still holds at 1-2. Logan Taylor has 20 more at-bats with 137. He's batting 7th in the order today. 1-2 pitch. Bender misses away. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Fisher. A guy that will get behind in the count early on, but can manage in his at-bats. John Norwood, the big right-handed hitter from Vanderbilt's on deck. The pitch fouled to the left side, out of play. This one's a nubber by the Kettleer Kitchen, where you can get your concessions and also use the restroom on the other side. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jamison Fisher. A scoreless game at Lowell Park with 1 down to the bottom of the first. Andrew Sopko, the right-hander from Gonzaga, ranges the 2-2. Curveball misses low and in by the ankles. Full count on Fisher. Kettleers and Braves have each lost 3 straight games. One club will leave victorious today. 3-2. Fastball hit on the right side, picked up by the second baseman Sullivan. Ranges once to his left, throw to first in time to retire Fisher. 2 up, 2 down to start for Sopko.
This lineup is very odd today. Obviously, with the loss of Rhett Wiseman for the season, you're going to have to make some adjustment in terms of what you think is going to work for your offense. But this is an offense that has struggled. They've hit .243 as a team over their past 10 games, and something needs to click because the offense has bailed the pitching out when this team has won.
Fastball misses away to John Norwood to start his at-bat. Correction on Sopko. I said Missoula, Minnesota. Missoula, Montana, the hometown for the right-handed pitcher. 1-0. Swing and a miss. Norwood a heavy and mighty swing on a 91-mile-per-hour fastball. Dice showed off his stick in the home run derby. Hit 5 home runs in his round of play. Slight open stance. Batting from the right side. The 1-1 hit into the backstop foul. Dice and Trace Barrera showcased the bats for the Kettleers. Jake Fincher played in the actual All-Star game, finished the ball game 0 for 5. Adam Witt pitched the second inning for Katuitt. 1-2 on the way. Norwood chops it in the ground towards short. Martin Jr. backs up on it, throw across the diamond. It gets away from the first baseman, Blake Davey. Norwood's thinking too, and he gets there on the slide. Now the throw goes into left center field, picked up by Wren. Norwood has no shot to advance to third, but he'll hold at second base, reaching on an error by Richie Martin Jr., the shortstop.
Pretty simple play, really, just a bad throw. Sometimes you short hop it, you shot put it essentially, you try and aim it rather than just throw it from short. That's a play that Martin Jr. makes pretty much 90 times out of 100, and That's just one of those 10 where you don't release it correctly and it goes a little bit too low.
You know, the last time we were here at Lowell Park, that was back on July 25th. We saw 9 errors combined between two ball clubs. Cotuit had 6. Wareham had 3. Well, both teams each have an error. We're not through the first inning yet. Trace Barrera, the big right-handed hitter, slaps it down the left field line. Wren runs in on it, makes the catch just above his head to retire the side. Barrera squared it up awfully well, but is retired on the catch. We played one at Lowell Park, no score between the Kettleers and Braves. Second inning coming up on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Barnstable Mashpee, Channel 99, and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College.
Started the second inning at Lowell Park. No score between the Kettleers and Braves, 5, 6, and 7. Come up for Harvey Shapiro's squad, born with just one Cape League title in its entirety. Well, Harvey Shapiro's club has the best record in the Cape Cod League this year, a club that was in 4th place for most of last year. And Greg, you saw the title run for the Kettleers, a team that has 16 Cape Cod League titles. His Bourne club is looking to keep those hopes alive despite the recent skid.
Bourne reminds me a lot of last year's Chatham squad, a team that didn't really have any superstars, but just did every little thing well. And when you do everything well, you end up in first place.
One guy who's helped them do well is Blake Davey, big first baseman from UConn, swings through a fastball in the outer half from Vince Fiore. Left-handed pitcher from South Carolina. Had a solid first inning, allowed one base runner on a Jordan Ebert error over at second base. The lefty winds and kicks the 0-1. Fastball down the left field line, it's a fair ball. Taylor went to the dive on his right towards the line. Davies thinking too. The throw in is going to be way off and way late. Blake Davey trots into second base with a nobody out double to start this second.
Blake Davey is the epitome of a Kettleer killer. In 6 games now against Cotuit, he's 7 for 15, a home run, 5 RBIs, and 5 walks. His on-base is over 635 against Cotuit.
That's why he's in the lineup today. Davey finished 0 for 3 with a strikeout in the All-Star game on Sunday. The West defeated the East 5-0. Now Blake Alleman, right-handed hitter with a slight open stance. 140-degree angle with the feet stance as the fastball misses high and away. To the third baseman from Texas A&M, teammates with Logan Taylor. He's right down the third base line, so making eye contact early on. As Alleman waves the bat, Davey at second, the pitch. Hit over towards third, his teammate. Taylor bobbles it, now throws across, not in time. Hit hard down the line, Taylor went to a backhand, but then couldn't find the baseball, picked it up, and he still has a whistle of an arm. The throw across not in time to get his teammate from Texas A&M. So Alleman is at first. Davey held at second. First and second, nobody out for Harrison Bader.
Properly ruling that an error, that's a very tough play for Logan Taylor to make. Most of the time, if he doesn't get to the bag quick enough, it probably goes down the line. So a good job by Taylor just to keep that ball in the infield. Ruled a hit correctly, in my opinion. Probably in yours, too.
Yeah, you could see Taylor actually gaze out towards the scoreboard. He was curious what they ruled it. First and second, infield now comes in for Cotuit. A bunt try possibly from Bader takes the changeup low. The count 1-0. Bader 9 for his last 24, center fielder from Florida. Has his left foot outside the right-handed batting box. Fiore steering in with his left arm hanging on his left side. The glove tucked in by his right armpit as Barrera puts down the sign. Sets at the letters, the 1-0. Bader squares, pulls back on the pitch high and away. 2 balls, no strikes on Harrison Bader.
Bader against the Kettleers has struggled offensively this year, only 1 for 15. But the Kettleers, get this, have hit Bader 5 times, and he has scored 5 runs.
An .067 clip is the worst average of any Bourne player against Cotuit. 2-0, fastball away. Was squaring again on the pitch. Brendan Hendricks and Logan Taylor significantly in on the grass for the Kettleers. Ebert and Kyle Holder in double play depth. Mike Roberts has this defensive alignment, so the corners, both corners crash. An aggressive way of going about it, the pitch. Fastball on the outside corner, a put-me-over pitch, 3-1. Top of the second at Lowell Park, first and second with nobody out, a 3-1 count on Harrison Bader. The score 0-0 between the Bourne Braves and Kettleers. 6th and final matchup of the season. 3-1 from Fiore. Fastball laid out in front of home plate. It's going to be picked up by Barrera. The throw to first on the outside of the bag. Jordan Ebert tags first base. Score it 2-4 on the putout at first, as Logan Taylor and Brendan Hendricks were both crashing in at home plate. A solid play, but Bourne's got second and third with 1 out.
That's just good fundamental baseball. You want to make sure you get on the board here first. You've struggled pretty much all year in 2 games here against the Cotuit Kettleers. You haven't really established yourself dominantly in any of those ball games, so trying to get on the board first is critical.
No question, as now Fiore is into the windup. First pitch, a change-up on the outer half at 81 to Gavin Collins, the catcher from Mississippi State. Collins, 6 foot, 205-pound right-handed hitter from Lake Forest. 227 clip on the air as Fiore winds and kicks the 0-1. Off the inside of the bat towards the on-deck circle, foul, 0-2. Gavin Collins has struck out just 15 times in 97 at-bats, so a guy that can put the ball in play when needed. Rubs in his back foot in the dirt. Fiore off the rubber, 0-2. Fastball away. A waste pitch as Barrera went to his knees to snag it, 1-2. Kyle Holder significantly to the right, closer to Logan Taylor by the third base side. So that hole between Ebert and Taylor up the middle is free, the 1-2. Fastball again away. No chasing from Collins. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's a pitch, though, that you have to make your waste pitch a little bit more hittable than that, because that's not a pitch that any smart hitter is ever going to fish at.
2-2 on the way. Fastball chopped over to third. Taylor looks back the runner, throw across the diamond in time to get out number 2. Nice pitch by Fiore to keep it low and in. Taylor simply picked it up, looked the runner back, and threw across the diamond. 2 down for Stephen Wren.
Logan Taylor had been very, very good defensively at shortstop over the past 2 weeks, but now that Kyle Holder is back in the fold, Taylor is probably going to shift back to third base permanently. There may be a bit of an adjustment, but so far today he's done a pretty darn good job.
First pitch to Wren, a fastball high and at the waist, outside, 1-0. Would have to agree, considering Logan Taylor did start the year dominantly at third because Holder was with the team, 1-0. Fastball misses away. This is Holder's second game back with the Kettleers. Started against Orleans back on Saturday night. Holder finished the game 0 for 3 with 2 groundouts and a strikeout. In his first handful of games, was .244 in his first 41 at-bats. Change up low and in. Actually called a strike by Tim Farwick, the home plate umpire, 2-1. 2 outs in the second inning. Bourne's got second and third with 2 outs. Fiore tries to work out of a jam. 2-1 offering, swing and a miss. Off-speed pitch, the changeup. Fiore's had that pitch working for him. Count 2-2.
And that's his best pitch. That's the pitch that's been his main strikeout pitch, at least it was against Brewster on Monday.
The lefty pitched 7 innings against Brewster his last start. 2-2. Check swing. Fiore checks down the first base line. No swing, says P.J. McGonsville. 3 balls, 2 strikes. This is a case here, Greg, where you don't want to put the 9-hitter on base. Take care of business and get him down. The Georgia Bulldogs, Stephen Wren, against the South Carolina Gamecock. Fiore, the pitch, hit over towards third. Taylor lets it boot off his chest. Throw across to first in time. Stayed with it and made a nice play. 2 consecutive groundouts to Logan Taylor. Retires the top half of the second. Bourne leaves runners at second and third and can't do anything with it. We'll go to the bottom of the second at Lowell Park. No score between Bourne and Cotuit on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers.
Last of the second inning, left-handed hitter from University of San Francisco, Brendan Hendricks, steps in. Lets the bat roll in his fingertips, batting from the left side, waggles his hands. First pitch on the way from Sopko, a changeup. Low and away, 1-0. No score early on at Lowell Park in the 6th and final matchup between the Braves and Kettleers. Sopko deals. 1-0, popped up down the left field line. Alamond and Wren giving chase. Martin Jr. as well. He camps under the ball just by the third base line, about 10 steps out from the infield grass. He makes the catch for out number 1. Hendricks retired.
And Hendricks is a guy who had saw playing time decrease in the month of July, but now with Rhett Wiseman almost for certain done for the year with a wrist injury, Hendricks is going to be seeing a lot of time probably in the corners of the outfield as well as first.
Yeah, Hendricks hasn't played a whole lot as this pitch by Holder popped up. He tried to bunt. Pitch waved into the grandstands down the right field line. 0-1 to the Kettleer that has come back from injury. Kyle, the upcoming senior at San Diego. Bats from the left side. Formerly of Grossmont Community College. 0-1. Nubs it to the left. It travels over the broadcast booth just by the Kettleers kitchen. 0-2.
When you're talking about all-stars, Holder actually played summer ball last year in Glen Falls, New York with St. Louis righty and Falmouth Commodore all-star Matt Eckelman.
No balls, 2 strikes. Sopko winds and deals. 0-2 slap towards short. Richie Martin Jr. ranges to his right, lofts it across the diamond to first. Off the bag goes Davey, and Holder's safe at first. I'm not sure if, and they're going to rule it a hit. Cotuit gets their first hit on the play, but it looked like Martin Jr. didn't make a full throttle throw there. Maybe it's because he didn't think he had a chance. Holder reaches at first base.
Second bad throw in consecutive innings for Richie Martin Jr., but that's a tough play to make. You go back in the hole to your right, and your weight is completely shifted away from where you need to throw the ball. So trying to make an accurate throw is extremely difficult to do.
Logan Taylor bats from the right side, an open stance, takes a fastball at 90, at the knees on the inside corner, 0-1. To the Texas A&M shortstop slash third baseman. He's played a lot on the left side of the infield, has played some right field for the Kettleers this year. Logan back at third base with the addition of Kyle Holder. He's off towards first. Taylor slaps it to the right side, through the hole, a base hit. Holder touches second. He's heading to third. Mike Roberts holds him up at the third base bag. Logan Taylor has hit safely in 14 of his last 15 games. First and third with one out.
That's a result of Brett Sullivan trying to cover second on a possible missed hit and run. Holder was off on the pitch. He shifts towards the second base bag. Taylor hits it through the hole where Sullivan would have been, and a lot of times there's a gamble that goes on trying to cover second on a straight steal or a hit and run, and had Taylor swung through the ball or had Sullivan been there, may have been a chance for a double play. Instead, big hole on the right side, and you got runners at the corners with only one away.
Back-to-back hits has Holder at third, Taylor at first. The hit and run works for the Kettleers. Ebert, the second baseman from Auburn, squares around and pulls back. Takes a changeup at 78 on the outside corner. No balls, one strike on the right-handed hitter from Auburn. Andrew Sopko, the right-hander from Gonzaga, was a witty guy in high school, had a 3.5 GPA. Barely pitched his freshman year in 2013. 0-1, fastball upstairs and away as Collins gets out of the stretch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Went 0-1 with a 6.85 ERA in 23 2/3 innings. The righty in a jam now with first and third and one out. Holder's at third base. Taylor's at first. Sopko leans in for the sign. Comes set. The 1-1 curveball popped up behind the backstop foul. Ebert's down in the count, 1-2. And since Jordan's debut here at Lowell Park, when he hit a grand slam in his second at bat with the Kettleers, he's really cooled off. Taylor holds the bat out in front. Sopko sets, does the fake to third, fake to first play. Count still 1-2. No score at Lowell Park here in the bottom half of the second. Each team with 2 hits and an error apiece. Collins puts down the sign. Sopko sets, now throws to first to check in with Taylor. And if you look at Jordan Ebert, look at the numbers, hitting .263 in his last 5 games, just 5 for 19, which isn't all that bad, but not as much power as we've seen before. Fastball tails away, 2-2.
Not necessarily a power hitter, though. He got a really good pitch to hit on that grand slam, but a guy that hits for a consistent average, despite the fact he hasn't driven in a run in over a week and a half. He's still hitting at .279.
Looks to come through here, first and third. Sopko again throws to first. Kettleers and Braves match up once again for the 6th time this year. The last appearance we saw was 6 days ago at Doran Park, a 12-4 loss for the Kettleers. Sopko's 2-2. Ebert looks at a fastball, it misses away. A long stare in by home plate umpire Tim Farwig. Rules it a ball, the count is now full. Outfield and infield straight away for Bourne. A big pitch coming up. 3-2 with 1 out in the second. First and third for the Kettleers as they look to break a scoreless tie in the second. 3-2 from Sopko, swing and a miss. Taylor's off towards second. Martin's tag at second base in time to get Taylor. Look at that. First and third, 1 out. Turns into a strike him out, throw him out. And Bourne escapes the second. We're through 2 at Lowell Park. Still no score between the Bravos and Kettles. Stick with us on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network, Barnstable-Mashpee, Channel 99, and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College. Located in Milton, Massachusetts, it offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
No score as we head to the top of the third inning here at Lowell Park. Vince Fiore to face off against Richie Martin Jr., the shortstop from the University of Florida. Fiore stands in over the glove. The left-hander kicks, delivers. Martin shows bunt. Fastball misses high and away for ball one. Martin grounded out to short to lead off the ball game. Logan Taylor, even with the bag at third. Brendan Hendricks shifted about 10 feet away from the first base bag. Martin waggles the bat. He shows bunt again. Pulls. And it's called for a strike. Curveball from Fiore. Hits the low inside paint. Count even up at 1-1. Holder shifted well towards the third base bag at short. Ebert towards the second base bag at second. So a big hole through the left side. Jackson Klein shifted slightly towards left center. Fiore kicks, delivers the 1-1. Fastball misses outside, about knee level. 2-1 on Richie Martin Jr. 2-1 offering on the way. Changeup misses the high outside corner. 3-1 on Martin. On deck, Brett Sullivan, the second baseman from UOP. Three-1 offering. Martin chops it to the right side. Ebert ranges to his left, picks it up, fires across. In time to get the hustling Bourne shortstop one away. Brett Sullivan comes to the plate now. The second baseman from the University of Pacific, located in Stockton, California. His college teammate, Gio Brusa, for the Brewster Whitecaps, was the starting right fielder for the Eastern Division in the All-Star game. Sullivan grounded out to second in his first at-bat in the first. First pitch fastball from Fiore. Misses high for ball one. Wind is very calm today. The flag out in left center not moving at all. Sullivan pops it out of play to the left side over the grandstands. Beyond the third base dugout. Count even up at 1. Big hole up the middle. Holder creeps towards the third base side of the shortstop position. Klein shifted towards left center. 1-1 offering. Check swing. Curveball. Hits the outside corner at about belt level. 1-2 on Sullivan.
I would agree. It is a calm day for baseball here at Lowell Park. The flag's starting to get some movement now. Must have hurt you.
1-2 changeup. Misses high and away. Good idea on the waste pitch from Fiore. Count to 2-2. Fiore has not walked anybody through 2 1/3 innings so far today. Stares him over the glove, gets the sign from Barrera. Sullivan waggles the bat. Fiore kicks, delivers a 2-2. Swing and a miss. Fastball upstairs, and Sullivan goes chasing. That's Fiore's first strikeout of the ball game. Sullivan now 0 for 2. Brings up Mark Laird.
Good pitch that goes upstairs. A fastball to a left-handed hitter that goes away from the plate, especially from a left-handed pitcher. The ball almost looks like it's going higher and higher. And as a left-handed hitter, it looks straight, but it really isn't.
Mark Laird, the right fielder from LSU, takes a curveball in the low outside corner for a ball. Paul Maneri, the LSU baseball coach, Mark Laird's coach at college. Laird hits out in the right center field gap. Norwood on his horse to the right, dives, can't make the catch. It goes to the wall out in the right center field gap. Laird's at second, hits the bag and chugs for third. Norwood throws it in, and Mark Laird has a 2-out triple. The speedster hitting in the number 3 hole, got a pitch on the inside and roped it.
John Norwood almost tripped himself up in right center field on his horse to the right center field gap. Put the glove out and just got the end of the glove on the baseball. Sometimes that's not what you want to do. Yeah, you knock it down, but now it rolls further away. There's no momentum. And you have to get it in. And a guy like Laird, as you said, jugs all the way to third.
His college coach, though, Paul Maneri, in attendance at the All-Star game. Laird with an RBI single. And Mark Laird's been very impressive in his second year with the Bourne Braves. Now hitting over .333 with that base knock. And here is Norwood's college teammate, Xander Wheel. First pitch changeup misses low and into Wheel for ball one. Wheel flew out to Norwood and right to end the first. Mike Roberts comes out of the dugout and is kicking what appears to be 2 rocks back towards the Kettleer dugout. 1-0 the count on Wheel. Holder shifted over towards the third base bag. Taylor even with the bag at third. Swing and a miss. Changeup tails low and away. Count even at 1.
And we've already seen Bourne miss out on opportunities offensively back in the second inning. You wouldn't want to miss out if you're a Wheel. A 2-out hit would be crucial.
Fiore kicks the 1-1. Swing and a miss. Fastball tails away. Wheel cuts right through it. Count to 1-2. On deck, Blake Davey, who led off with a double back in the second. No score here in the top of the third. Kettleers come into this ball game at 16, 21, and 1. 1-2 on the way. Fastball misses inside. Count even at 2-2. The Braves come in at 23, 14, and 1. Cotuit stands a point behind Hyannis for third place in the Western Division. 2-2, swing and a miss. Change-up dips low and out of the zone, and Wheel goes fishing. 2 strikeouts in the third for Vince Fiore. We've played 2.5, no score. Here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and Comcast Channel 99 from Mashpee to Chatham and Channel 13 in Sandwich. Stay with us, friends.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it.
Bottom of the third, 9-1 and 2 due up for the Kettleers against Andrew Sopko. No score. Kettleers have 2 hits. They've committed 1 error. The Bourne Braves have 3 hits. They've committed 1 error. Jeremy Taylor, the Kettleer left fielder from East Tennessee State, steps in. First time in a while that Taylor has played the field. First pitch on the way. Taylor pops it. Shallow center field. Harrison Bader charging. He's coming hard to his left. Settles under it, makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Order turns over now for Jackson Glines. It appears, based upon this lineup, the first lineup that the Kettleers have had without Rhett Wiseman, that Glines will go out and play center field pretty much every single day. Glines struck out swinging to lead off the game for the Kettleers in the first. Righty-lefty matchup, Blake Alamond, the third baseman, even with the bag at third. First pitch on the way to Glines. Fastball misses away for ball 1. Glines, the center fielder from the University of Michigan. A transfer from Fresno City College after 2 years in JUCO ball. Glines laces it up the middle. A base hit. Sullivan ranged to his right, but had no chance at it. Third hit of the ball game for the Kettleers. Glines now 1 for 2. And it brings up Jamison Fisher, the Kettleer DH from southeastern Louisiana.
Solid base hit up the middle from Glines. It's not often we see him hit balls right up the middle. He's a guy that goes the other way and also pulls the ball. And Jackson has shown some power recently with the home run against Orleans a couple weeks back, but This is a new role for him. Batting leadoff, he did earlier in the year, but now he's back in that position with Wiseman out.
First pitch changeup misses low and away to Jamison Fisher. Fisher grounded out to Brett Sullivan at second, his first time up. Blake Davey holds on Jackson Glines at first. Sullivan shifted over towards the second base bag. Pick to first. Glines dives back in safely. Richie Martin Jr. shifted slightly towards the second base bag. Alamon to step behind the grass at third. Sopko in the stretch delivers the 1-0. Fastball on the low outside corner. Strike called by Tim Farwick, the home plate umpire. Count even up at 1. John Dice Norwood stands on deck for Cotuit, his first start out in right field. Sopko in the stretch, first base side of the rubber, delivers. Check swing, appeal down to third. No swing. Says the third base umpire, Scott Bova. Although that's honestly relative because he's standing basically at second base, so he really doesn't have much of an angle. The Cape Cod Baseball League, 3 umpires instead of the usual 4 for a college or professional baseball game. 2-1 on the way. Fisher pops it up. Shallow left field. Richie Martin goes back on it, settles under it, backpedals, makes the catch for out number 2. Glines retreats to first. 2 gone for John Norwood.
And early on between Sopko and Fiore, these two pitchers are just catching the ball and getting back on the rubber, throwing strikes. Neither with a walk in the first 2 2/3 of this ball game.
Norwood reached on an error by Richie Martin Jr. in the first. Advanced to second on the bad throw. First pitch on the way to Dice. Fastball hits the low outside corner for a strike. Norwood hit 5 home runs out in the first round of the Home Run Derby. Only got 1 out in the second round. But still a good show. 0-1 offering. Breaking ball pulls a string on him. Just catches the outer edge on the low side, just below Norwood's knees. And John's down on the count 0-2. The other Home Run Derby participant, Trace Barrera, stands on deck. Small lead at first for Glines. Sopko delivers the 0-2. Fastball misses low and away. Almost the same spot as the curveball. Maybe slightly more to the outside. 1-2.
Well, opposing pitchers know if you pitch Norwood inside, he has a chance to turn on it and send it.
Norwood waggles the bat. 1-2. Sliced foul over the screen on the first base side. Count remains at 1-2. Kettleers will have 3 more home games. Correction, 2 more home games after today. Here on Thursday against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And on Saturday against the Falmouth Commodores. 1-2, Norwood chops it foul down the third base side. Through the legs of head coach Mike Roberts, over coaching third. Kettleers will end the season on the road in Falmouth. No more Eastern Division games left. The Kettleers had that stretch of 7 of 8 against Eastern Division opponents over the past week and a half. That's now over. It's all west from here. As they said back in the olden days, go west, my friend.
Yeah, it's going to be a good race. 2 more against Falmouth, 2 more against Hyannis. Good close to the year.
1-2 to Norwood, sweeping fastball. Misses away, count even up at 2. No score, 3 hits apiece here in the bottom of the 3rd inning alongside my broadcast partner, Brendan Glasheen. I'm Greg Mraz. Sopko, first base side of the rubber, stretch 2-2. Norwood pokes it out to right center field. Harrison Bader ranges to his left, settles under it, squeezes the ball in his glove for the 3rd out of the inning. The Kettleers get a 1-out base runner, but Jackson Glines is stranded at first. We're through 3 here at Lowell Park. No score on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College. Located in Milton, Massachusetts, it offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit
Blake Davies steps in here in the top of the fourth inning. First pitch from Vince Fiore, fouled out of play. No score. 3 hits apiece for each side. Vince Fiore has not surrendered a walk thus far. He has surrendered a single, a double, and a triple. The double came to this man, Blake Davies. Swing and a miss. Tailing fastball to the low outside. Count to 0-2 on the slugging first baseman from UConn. Same school as Hyannis first baseman DH Bobby Melly, who we will see tomorrow at McKeon Park in Hyannis. 0-2, fastball misses low and away from Fiore. Logan Taylor even with the bag at third. Kyle Holder deep in the hole at short. Jordan Ebert shifted over towards the second base bag. Brendan Hendricks shifted towards the second base bag at first. 1-2 changeup from Fiore on the way. Misses high and away. Count even up at 2-2. Later on, we will have Nick Eichholtz and Travis Duke up here in the booth. Always an entertaining interview. 2-2 offering on the way from Fiore. Ring him up. Strike 3 called. Curveball hits the low inner paint. Davey can't believe it. He's having a discussion with home plate umpire Tim Farwig, saying that was well low. Davey will lose out on that argument. He strikes out. Blake Davey, a guy who strikes out a lot. In that, his 124th at bat. That is his 41st strikeout. Alamont, first pitch swinging, hits it on a line to left field. Jeremy Taylor going back. It's over his head and it bounces into the base of the wall. Alamont rounds first and cruises into second base with a stand-up double. Blake Alamont is red hot. Since stepping in for Billy Fleming at third, Blake Alamont has been one of the hottest hitters for the Bourne Braves. In his last 6 games, Alamont is 10 for 18. That is over 500. So Alamont stands at second. He's 2 for 2. Brings up Harrison Bader. No official at bat. He's sacrificed 2-4. Back in the second. First pitch from Fiore. Bader hits on the ground to short. Holder ranges to his right on the backhand. Fires across in time. P.J. McConville, the first base umpire, standing over at second base, makes the call. Alamont does not move from second base, so 2 outs for Gavin Collins. A great play made in the hole by Kyle Holder. Now Bourne has one more opportunity to be able to drive in Blake Alamont from second. Gavin Collins steps in, the catcher from Mississippi State, grounded out to third, back in the second. Fiore in the stretch, first base side of the rubber, looks back to second. The lefty delivers. Curveball misses low and inside for ball 1. Collins from Lake Forest, California, attends Mississippi State. One of 3 catchers Bourne has on the roster. The other, or others, Brian Cerven and Jason DeLay. 1-0 fastball misses high and away. Count to 2-0 on Collins. Stephen Wren, the left fielder from Georgia, stands on deck for the Bourne Braves. Fiore sets at the letters. Gets the sign, delivers the 2-0. Collins loops it foul down the third base line. 2-1 the count. Kettleers have back-to-back games against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, starting tomorrow night at McKeon Park in Hyannis. 6 o'clock first pitch, 5:40. Kettleers warm-up hits the air. And then back here on Thursday, 5 o'clock start. We will let you know that because that is the Fox College Sports game, 2-1 offering on the way to Collins. Hits it high down the left field line into foul ground. Jeremy Taylor ranges over near the bullpen fence, makes the catch on the run to retire the side. A one-out double. And Blake Allemond is stranded at second. We're through 3.5. No score. From Lowell Park, you're locked into Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Comcast Channel 99 from Mashpee to Chatham and Channel 13 in Sandwich. Stay with us, friends.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
We head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Trace Barrera leads it off against Andrew Sopko. No score here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers trying to break a 3-game losing streak and win the season series against the Bourne Braves. They currently lead the season series 3-2. Barrera stands in, righty-righty matchup. First pitch, swinging, hits it out to center field. Bader on his horse, backpedals towards the center field fence, makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out. Second straight inning that Andrew Sopko has gotten the leadoff man to fly out to center field on the first pitch. Brings up Brendan Hendricks, first baseman from the University of San Francisco. Hendricks popped out to short to lead off the second. Righty-lefty matchup, Sopko in the wind. First pitch swinging, fouls it out of play to the left side. 0-1. A matchup here of West Coast Conference schools. Sopko from Gonzaga. Brendan Hendricks from the University of San Francisco. Two very good. Gonzaga more recently, and USF more historically, as that fastball on the 0-1 misses high and in. Count to 1-1. Gonzaga has been one of the perennial college basketball powers over the last decade and a half. 1-1 fastball misses high and away. 2-1 to Brendan Hendricks. Under Mark Few, Gonzaga has reached the tournament every year for the past 14 seasons. 2-1, curveball sweeps inside, and Hendricks is in the catbird seat, a 3-1 count. The University of San Francisco last made the NCAA tournament in 1998, but has won 2 national titles. Sopko winds, kicks, delivers the 3-1. Hendricks swings and misses. Fastball dips low and in. Count goes to full. USF has the longest winning streak, or second longest winning streak, in NCAA history behind UCLA. Payoff on the way from Sopko. Hendricks pops it out towards the left side. Allemond runs over towards the boundary fence down the left field line, but it goes out of play. 3-2. The WCC matchup here. Payoff on the way again to Hendricks. Pops it out, same spot. 8th pitch of the at-bat upcoming here. USF, many Hall of Famers from their glory teams in the 50s and 60s. Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Hendricks, 3-2, hits it out of play over the grandstands on the left side. Pete Newell, the head coach, went on to coach at the University of California. Passed away recently. Phil Smith, who played for the Warriors, also a USF basketball alum. Payoff. Fastball misses high and in. Ball 4. So the Dons win the matchup here against the Zags. Hendricks draws a 1-out walk, and it brings up Kyle Holder. Another WCC matchup. Gonzaga, their main claim to fame in terms of basketball is John Stockton, possibly one of the greatest point guards of all time, whose sons, David Stockton and John Stockton Jr., both played for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Davey holds on Hendricks at first. Here's Kyle Holder. On the pitch, hit to second base, flips to second for 1, in time on to first, double play. Score it, 4-6-3, inning over. The Zags, like they do in basketball, force out the Dons and the Toreros on a double play. We're through 4 here at Lowell Park, no score. Between the Kettleers and the Braves, you're locked into Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast
Start of the 5th inning at Lowell Park. Still no score between the Bourne Braves and Cotuit Kettleers. Meeting number 6 on the year between the two clubs as regular season play wraps up in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Just 6 games to play for every team around the league. We'll have a Coca-Cola of Cape Cod out-of-town scoreboard update in the next half inning as Vince Fiore, the left-handed pitcher from South Carolina, returns to the hill for Cotuit. The lefty deals first pitch, a change up on the outer half to Stephen Wren, the 9-hitter. Takes the strike, 0-1. Wren, the left fielder from Georgia, grounded at Logan Taylor over at third in his first at-bat. The 0-1 slap towards the middle. Ebert goes to a backhand on the slide to his right. It's through the hole, a base hit. Wren reaches with the single up the middle. A nice attempt by Ebert over towards the hole between second and short by the second base bag. Wren's at first with nobody out. Bourne has had a base runner in every inning, but has failed to capitalize. They've had instances with runners in scoring position with 2 outs, and they haven't converted today, which is a trend we've seen this year. They're hitting .242 in those situations. Richie Martin Jr., the leadoff man, takes a change-up away, 1-0. Martin Jr. has been retired twice on a pair of groundouts. Has reached base in 30 straight games for Bourne. A slight open stance, holds the bat close to his shoulder. He lifts it to left field. In comes the left fielder, Jeremy Taylor. It drops in front of him, a base hit. Make it 31 straight for Martin Jr., in which he's reached base. The all-star shortstop from Florida is at first. Stephen Wren Up at second now. First and second for Bourne with nobody out for Brett Sullivan. Richie Martin Jr. is something else, having quite the year for Harvey Shapiro's Bourne Braves. Mike Roberts opts to have the corners in. Holder and Ebert tight at double play depth towards the second base bag. Fiore's first pitch on the way to Mark Laird. Curveball misses away. Check that, Brett Sullivan, the batter. Left-handed hitter from Pacific. 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout. Ran at second, Martin Jr. at first. No score between Cotuit and Bourne. Fiore lets the left arm hang. Sets at the letters. 0-1 delivery. Now it's a bluff towards second base to keep Wren honest at the bag. Logan Taylor has a straggled position on the grass down the third baseline. Brendan Hendricks 10 steps to the right of the bag. He's also in. The pitch chopped down the first baseline. A fair ball. It rolls in towards Norwood. Wren comes in to score. Down to third goes Martin Jr. An RBI single for Brett Sullivan. Bourne strikes first, 1-0, with still nobody out here in the fifth. A base hit that went right down the right field line. Even if Hendricks was backed up at his normal position at first base, still would have been a tough play to get the glove on the baseball. Again, was not only in on the grass, but notably to the right of the first base bag. So the run in to score. It's now first and third, nobody out for Mark Laird. Bats from the left side. LSU right fielder has a chance to strike Cotuit once again. Fiore steps off. So Bourne off to a quick start with the sticks. 7 hits, finally, in the run column. First run we've seen today. First pitch swinging down the first baseline again, picked up by Hendricks, tags the bag himself. No advance for Richie Martin Jr. over at third. Brett Sullivan advances to second on the play. Laird retired, 3 unassisted. So there's 1 out now for Xander Wheel with second and third. Kind of an odd play considering Hendricks did gobble it up, but he did fumble the baseball a bit, which allowed Sullivan to reach second without any throw. Infield entirely in for the Kettleers. Sullivan at second, Martin Jr. at third. Fiore winds in the windup. The pitch, first pitch hacking, it's up into shallow right. Ebert's got a backtrack, or Norwood's now in. Martin Jr. will not test the big righty's arm. Norwood fetches it back in. 2 down for Blake Davey. So Wheel is down for the 3rd time today. 2 via the flyout to his teammate from Vanderbilt. Once via the strikeout back in the 3rd. Blake Davey, the all-star first baseman from UConn, has that slight bush of hair come out of the back of his helmet. Righty steps in, a very small open stance batting from the right side. The left-handed pitcher, Fiore, starts the at-bat. Swing and a miss. Change up that tails away on the right side of home plate. 0-1 to Davey. He's 1 for 2. Doubled to lead off the second. Struck out looking in the 4th. Climbs back in the box. Taps the end of home plate. Fiore stares in just over the glove. 0-1. Fastball cut on and missed at 86. The fastball changeup differential for Vince Fiore is not very big. As look, he's stepping right back on the rubber. Davey out of the box to take a deep breath and reset. Fiore's ready to go. Lefty waves off one sign. Waves off the second sign. Accepts the third from Barrera. 0-2, he winds and kicks. Fastball away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And now Barrera out to talk with Fiore. Some miscommunication on that pitch, considering they had to wave off twice, and then the third call had Barrera way out of his shoe tops to snag it. 1-0 Bourne with 2 outs in the top of the 5th here at Lowell Park. The Braves and Kettleers facing off for the final time this season. Cotuit tries to take the season series 4-2. Bourne, of course, trying to tie the season series. 1-2 pitch from Fiore. Swing and a nip off the bat Rolls to the right side out of play. Barrera picks it up. The count stays 1-2. That pitch way inside. Davey barely got a piece. Steven Wren scored the game's first run. He was the first guy on. Richie Martin Jr. singled. Brett Sullivan reached with a base hit and an RBI. The 1-2 popped up to the right side out of play. We'll see the 1-2 count again. So Wren is single, Martin Jr. is single, Sullivan with the single to plate Wren, and then back-to-back outs by Laird on the ground and Wheel on the fly, respectively. Fiore winds and kicks the 1-2 pitch on the way to Davey. Popped up to the right side and has a chance to stay in play. Hendricks goes down the line towards the trees, realizes he has no play. Still 1-2. A good at-bat here between Davey and Fiore, considering the first two pitches of the at-bat, Wavy swung through each. Bourne has 7 hits to 1 run. Kettleers 3 hits, no runs. One, two again. Swing and a miss. Change up low and in gets the Kettleers out of the jam. Fiore allows an RBI single to Brett Sullivan, and this game is no longer scoreless. We'll go to the last of the 5th at Lowell Park. Bourne 1, Cotuit 0 on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Barnstable Mashpee, Channel 99 on Comcast and Channel 13 in Sandwich.
The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Bottom of the 5th inning at Lowell Park. Logan Taylor to lead things off for the Kettleers as Cotuit trails 1-0 against the CCBL's best club, the Bourne Braves. A fastball that misses away. 1-0 to Taylor. Shortstop, third baseman from Texas A&M. 1 for 1 with the base hit. Hits this one into left center. It drops in for a base hit in front of Harrison Bader on a one-hopper. Logan Taylor's got 2 hits today. He remains red hot for Cotuit. Has played in every game this season, this being game 38 on the year, 38 of 44 in the Cape League. Taylor has started every game for Cotuit, whether it's been DH, right field, shortstop, or third base. And he's hit safely in 13 of his last 14 ball games. Another multi-hit game, has 8 of those in that stretch. He leads from first. Jordan Ebert, the second baseman from Auburn, squares around. The pitch from Sopko, a fastball low and away to the right-handed hitter from Auburn University. 1-0. Third baseman Blake Alamon at the lip of the grass, down the third baseline, infield, up the middle in double play depth. First baseman Blake Davey holding on Logan Taylor as Sopko sets at the chest. 1-0 pitch. Ebert lays it out in front of home plate, picked up by Sopko, ranges and throws to first towards the second baseman Sullivan covering the bag. It gets Ebert. Taylor advances to second on the sacrifice. One down with the runner in scoring position for the 9-hitter, Jeremy Taylor. Talked with Logan Taylor today on Hot Off the Kettle, and Logan said he really appreciated the last couple of days off. Probably could have played in the All-Star game, considering how good he's been in the month of July. Jeremy Taylor, a short left-handed hitter from East Tennessee State. First pitch, a fastball away. Taylor's been going with the no sock showing the last handful of ball games. No more high socks for JT. Taps the inside and outside of home plate. Lets the bat wave just by his waist. Sopko set, stares at Taylor at second, the 1-0. Taylor takes a change up, low and away. 2 balls, no strikes. 1-0 Bourne in the 5th inning. Katuitt trying to avenge a 12-4 loss they suffered back on July 23rd at Doran Park. Kettleers do lead the season series 3-2. 2-0 pitch. Fastball, tails on the inside half. Called a strike, 2-1. And now if you're Katuitt, obviously with the rest of their schedule coming against Western Division opponents, would really like to finish strong and lock up that final playoff spot in the West. 2-1 pitch. Change up. Called a strike on the inside half. Was meant to be outside as Collins was way off the plate to the left of our station here. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Taylor leads from second base. Infield backed up for Bourne. Center fielder Harrison Bader a few steps to the left of straightaway center. 2-2. Taylor, slow roller towards short. Picked up by Martin Jr. Throw on the run. It's a fake. Try to get Taylor napping at third base. It doesn't work. It's now first and third for Katuitt with still just 1 out. So scored an infield single for Jeremy Taylor. I like the mindset by Richie Martin Jr. at short. But Logan Taylor, there's a reason why he's played every game this year. He's a smart player. Does not bite on the fake throw over to first. Now Harvey Shapiro, the manager, out to speak with Andrew Sopko and catcher Gavin Collins. There is action warming in the Bourne bullpen down the right field line. And a left-handed arm could be entering this ball game right now. 1 out, 5th inning. The score 1-0 Braves. Bourne has lost 3 straight. Katuitt has also lost 3 straight. And there's a left-handed arm just by the chain link fence. Shapiro has not signaled towards the bullpen. So perhaps this just some time to stall to get the lefty ready. And Shapiro is going to stick with Sopko. Now he's got his hands up, wondering what's going on down there. Now he's discussing with home plate umpire Tim Farwick. Some miscommunication between the bullpen and the dugout down the right field line. So Sopko stays in the game. Runners at first and third, Taylor's at third base, and the other Taylor's at first base, Logan and Jeremy respectively. Jackson Glines had a single up the middle of his last at-bat, squares around, pulls back, and takes a fastball in the outer half. No balls, 1 strike on the center fielder from Michigan. Very confusing play there. It looked like Shapiro wanted to go to an arm, but either the pitcher wasn't ready or he didn't make the signal fast enough towards Tim Farwick. Glines steps in on the left side. 0-1 the count with 1 out in the 5th. 1-0 Bourne. Kettleers threatening though with first and third and 1 out. The 0-1 delivery. Fastball high and away. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jackson Glines. Struck out swinging back in the first. Singled in the third. Logan Taylor started with the single to left center. Ebert sacrificed him to second. Jeremy Taylor singled to make it first and third. The 1-1 offering. Glines takes a change up outside. Catches the corner, 1-2 though. Good pitch from Sopko to keep it low in the zone and catch the corner on the outer half. Katuitt has 5 hits, no runs scored. Bourne 7 hits, 1 run. Each team with an error. Has not factored the scoring though. Sopko sets. 1-2 pitch. Curveball swung on and missed. It bit at the last second up and inside. Glein strikes out for the second time today against Andrew Sopko. A big second out for Bourne starter. Braves and Kettleers, two Western Division foes, going at it for the last time. And early on, we've seen each team put on good base running performances, but not coming through with the big hits. It's up to Jamison Fisher now, here with 2 outs in the last of the 5th. Left-handed hitter holds the bat out in front. Southeastern Louisiana catcher takes the curveball upstairs. 1-0. Fisher is 0 for 2. Grounded to second in the first. Popped to Richie Martin Jr. over at short, back in the third. Sopko stares in towards Collins. Gets his sign, a slight look at Taylor at first. The 1-0. Change up. Catches the corner on the inside half. 1-1. Logan Taylor's at third. Jeremy Taylor's at first base. Might be the first time all year we've seen these two on base at the same time. They each lead from first and third. The 1-1 to Fisher. Takes a fastball in the outer half. 1-2. Fisher does stand about 6 to 7 inches away in the left-handed batting box. So those outside pitches may look closer than you think, Jamison. Holds the bat out in front. Now it waggles behind his helmet. 1-2. Slams it to left field. A long run for Wren. He now backpedals and makes the catch. A few steps in front of the track to retire the side. 5 done at Lowell Park. The Kettleers retire runners at first and third and can't do anything with it. We'll go to the 6th. 1-0 Braves on the Kettleers. On the Cape Cod Baseball League Network, Barnstable Mashpee, Channel 99, and Channel 13 Sandwich.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
1-0 Bourne as we head to the top of the 6th inning. Blake Alamond leads it off against Vince Fiore. Bourne got their 1 run in the top of the 5th on an RBI single by Brett Sullivan. First pitch fastball from Vince Fiore. Hits the eye outside part of the zone, but called a ball. 1-0 on the third baseman from Texas A&M. 10 for his last 18. Swing and a miss. Fastball right down Broadway, but some tailing action on it. Count even at 1 on Alamond. Logan Taylor even with the bag at third. Alamond hits it high and deep to left center field. Going back on it is Jackson Glines. He reaches up in front of the fence at the base of the scoreboard and makes a beautiful catch. Blake Alamond is not big. He stands at 5'10", but the way he hit that ball, it's almost as if he was Blake Davies' size.
Alamond can swing a hot bat and not only get on base, but he won't let you forget about it, how he swings the stick. You mentioned how good Davies been against the Kettleers. Well, Alamond's also pretty good. 5 for 15 entering today's game with a pair of RBIs. 2 hits today.
First pitch on the way to Harrison Bader. Hits the eye outside corner for a strike 0-1. Bader 0 for 1, a sacrifice bunt in the second. Grounded out to short in the 4th. Swing and a miss. Good changeup from Fiore at 79. Bader down to the count 0-2. A programming note, friends. Thursday's game against Hyannis, at least our broadcast on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network, will be tape delayed. 0-2, fastball misses away. It is the Fox College Sports Game of the Week. Because of contractual obligations, we are not allowed to air the game live. So do not tune in at 4:40. You won't hear anything. 1-2 curveball misses low and away. We will still be broadcasting the game, and you'll be able to watch it live on our YouTube page archive. Fiore kicks, delivers to 2-2. Bader pokes it out, shallow left field. Nobody's going to get that one. A one-out single for the center fielder from Florida. Bourne has their 8th hit. 1-0 Braves as Gavin Collins steps to the plate. But more important, really, than the broadcast is the fact that the Kettleers need to win these games coming up here. The Kettleers have not faced the Hyannis Harbor Hawks since the 27th of June. A game in which Vince Fiore pitched in, and the Kettleers won. Bader going, hit and run. Collins fouls it back to the screen. 0-1. The thing that is not great for the Kettleers in terms of playoff positioning, Collins on the day, 0 for 2, grounded out to third and flew out to left, is that with Hyannis, if they lose one more game to the Harbor Hawks, and already with the Wareham Gatemen, should the Gatemen make a run, the Kettleers lose both tiebreakers. Fiore sets, pick to first. It is not mathematically possible for the Kettleers to catch the Braves or the Commodores, even though Kettleers currently hold the tiebreaker over Bourne. They don't over Falmouth, though.
And it's ironic. Those two teams in front of them, they're 6-3 combined against Falmouth and Bourne this year.
Pick to first, back safely Harrison Bader.
So you look at that and you say, well, that's a good thing. You're beating the good teams, but now down towards the end of the year, you're almost missing the playoffs. Well, now you want those tiebreakers against the bad teams. You can't have it both ways, though.
Collins stands in, waggles the bat. Taylor in on the grass at third. Collins pokes it to dead center field, glinds, drifts slightly to his right, settles under it, makes the catch for out number 2. Collins heads back to the dugout. He's 0 for 3. Brings up Stephen Wren, who, despite an average that doesn't look so pretty, he's only hitting at .214. Against the Kettleers, Wren is 5 for 10, an average at an even .500. He singled and scored the Braves' lone run in the top of the 5th. 1-0 Braves. Braves have 8 hits and committed 1 error. First pitch fastball from Fiore on the way, hits the low inside paint for a strike 0 run on the left fielder from the University of Georgia, the only active Georgia Bulldog left in the Cape League. The other one was Hunter Cole. He went off and signed his contract with the San Francisco Giants. Cole, a 2013 Kettleer, a 2014 YD Red Sox. 0-1 fastball. Fiore delivers and misses low and away. Count even at 1-1. Kettleers trying to avoid dropping their 4th game in a row and trying to win the season series against the Bourne Braves. Fiore stares at first. Good sized lead for Bader. Bader is off. Hit and run. Looper out into shallow right field. Norwood charges, makes the catch for out number 3. A 1-out single, but Bourne does nothing with it. We're through 5.5. 1-0 Bravos here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Comcast Channel 99 from Mashpee to Chatham and Channel 13 in Sandwich.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Andrew Sopko's day is done after 5 scoreless innings, surrendering 5 hits against the Cotuit Kettleers, did not surrender a walk, and had 3 strikeouts. The new pitcher is the lefty from Mississippi, Lucas Laster. But before we get to his numbers, it's time for a Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update.
The Brewster Whitecaps are still alive, an 8-2 lead on the Chatham Anglers, the team they're chasing for the 4th and final playoff spot in the Eastern Division. That's in the top of the 5th at Stony Brook Field in Brewster. At YD at Red Wilson Field, the Red Sox hold a 5-1 lead on Orleans. Orleans is in jeopardy of holding the 3 spot in the Eastern Division in the playoff picture. They won't get home field for the first round. Falmouth and Hyannis are scoreless in the top of the second at McKeon Park. And finally, tonight's game starts at 7 o'clock between Harwich and Wareham, 0-0. Of course, the game starts at 7. But, Greg, that to me, before we get into Lucas Laster, Brewster leading 8-2. They're not out of the water yet.
They're not out of the water, but they pretty much have to play A-plus baseball down the stretch. They've dug themselves too deep of a hole. And Chatham, all they have to do is just finish out 500, and they'll be set. John Norwood stands in against Lucas Laster, the lefty from Mississippi State.
Laster, a 3.06 ERA. This is his 12th game pitched out of the bullpen for Harvey Shapiro. Has logged to 17 2/3 innings, has allowed 22 hits, 11 runs. 6 of those runs are earned. He's walked 4 and struck out 16 in those 17 2/3. So a strikeout guy coming to the mound for Bourne.
This is his 4th appearance against the Kettleers. The most any relief pitcher from the Bourne Braves has faced Cotuit. John Norwood stands in, the right-handed hitter. He's 0 for 2. First pitch on the way from Laster. Fastball misses low and away. Gets through the 5-hole of Gavin Collins for ball 1. Norwood reached on an error in the first and flew out to center to end the third. Allemond back at third, hugging the line. Bourne Braves infield is normal positioning and back. Norwood slices it into shallow right field. Laird settles under it, makes the catch, and John Norwood is retired for the 3rd time today. Laster has a 3.38 against the Kettleers in 5 1/3 innings pitched. He's given up 8 hits against Cotuit, 6 runs, only 2 of them earned. As Trace Barrera comes in. And now we've got Travis Duke and Nick Eichholz. We'll have them on after this bottom half of the inning. First pitch fastball to Trace Barrera, Travis Duke's teammate. Hits for a strike, 0-1.
I want to say thank you to Nick Eichholz for giving us the fan. Cooling us off here up in the booth.
Laster's 0-1 curve, misses low and in for ball 1. Count even at 1-1. It was a pretty hot and humid day today. I got a little sticky outside, and I'm not really used to warm weather. I'm a San Francisco boy. I'm used to the fog. Laster kicks, delivers the 1-1 to Barrera. Popped up, shallow left field. Wren charging, but Richie Martin Jr., the shortstop, goes back, squeezes the ball in his mitt for out number 2. That brings up Brendan Hendricks, left-handed first baseman from the University of San Francisco. Laster from Mississippi State has a very whipping type of motion. Stares in over the glove, kicks, and then delivers straight over the top, a whipping curveball, taken for a strike, 0-1 on Brendan Hendricks. Hendricks, 0 for 1, he walked back in the 4th. Laster winds, kicks, delivers the 0-1. Fastball, misses high and away. Count even at 1-1.
These guys just can't get enough of the booth. Second straight game, we've got Travis Duke and Nick Eichholz coming in.
1-1, swing and a miss. Sweeping changeup from Laster. And I think Travis Duke just broke the fan. 1-2 the count on Hendricks. Kicks, delivers, fastball, misses low and away. Count even at 2-2. And now the pitchers are dancing to the clicking noise that the fan's making. These guys also love to dance. 2-2, Nubber goes foul. During Take Me Out to the Ball Game, they were dancing like sweethearts at a high school dance the last time up. It was very romantic. In fact, probably more romantic than any romance movie I've ever seen. I mean, take The Notebook for what you will. I mean, I would rather have Duke and Eichholz love on Cape Cod. 2-2 on the way from Laster. Hendricks chops it foul in front of home plate. Kyle Holder stands on deck, shortstop from the University of San Diego.
Brendan Hendricks must be happy to finally get back in the lineup, and with Rhett Wiseman going home, this opens the door for him and Jeremy Taylor. Cotuit's got to find answers.
2-2 again on the way from Laster. Fastball, ring him up. Strike 3 called. Hendricks looks at a pitch. 1-2-3 go the Kettles. Travis Duke and Nick Eicholtz join us as we head to the top of the 7th inning. 1-0 Bravos here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank.
Vince Fiore comes out for his 7th inning of work, second consecutive start in which he has pitched into the 7th inning. 1-0 Braves as Bourne will have the top of the order up. We're now joined by Travis Duke, Kettleer left-hander. And Travis, you left your last appearance against Orleans with what you told me was a strained oblique injury. Now tell me, that's an injury that happens to pitchers a lot. Why does it happen to pitchers, and what is going to be your recovery time?
Well, first of all, my recovery time is estimated around a week, so I'll be sure to be ready for playoffs or the into the regular season for sure. But pitchers tend to get injured a lot there on their glove side because that's when you decelerate, that's the muscle that's used. So it tends to overreact or tends to get irritated when you pitch too much or you have a little jerk in your motion like I do. That's what causes that injury to happen to a lot of different pitchers.
As Richie Martin Jr. stands up, he's now reached in 31 consecutive games. First pitch on the way from Vince Fiore. Fastball misses away for ball 1. Martin 1 for 3, singled back in the 5th. But in terms of your motion and mobility, what does a strained oblique limit in terms of your motion? 1-0 on the way to Martin. Swing and a miss. Count even at 1.
It restricts a lot of stuff. Like yesterday when I was even just at a Red Sox game, I couldn't fully get comfortable sitting in a chair because my back would seize up on me. I felt like an older gentleman, middle-aged to elderly, just because I couldn't sit anywhere comfortably. When I would try to run, it would seize up on me. Try to throw, could feel its soreness, but it's getting better day to day for sure.
Drag bunt by Richie Martin Jr. down the third base side. Logan Taylor charges, throw to first, not in time. A leadoff single for Richie Martin Jr. He's 2 for 4. So you went to the Red Sox game yesterday. How was that for you? Is that your first time at Fenway?
That's my first time ever at Fenway Park, and I had to say I had the time of my life at that game. It was awesome. I mean, the result was not what Boston fans wanted to see, but due to the overwhelming score towards the end of the game, a lot of fans started going home and led to me and a few other guys getting seats behind the Blue Jays dugout about third row. So we got up close and personal with the action.
Drag bunt by Brett Sullivan. Ebert not covering first, and the Kettleers have surrendered 2 hits in a row on back-to-back bunts. As Coach Roberts comes out to the mound, there's some action loosening in the Kettleers bullpen, as Nick Eicholtz now has the dry erase board that we used to use last season. Vince Fiore's day is done. And a new pitcher coming in. It looks like Logan James. That does look like Logan James. So but what do you think about the fact that the seats at Fenway are 2 inches smaller on every side than a normal regulation-sized ballpark? That couldn't have helped your injury at all, could it?
Made things a little more uncomfortable, and the seats that I was in to begin with that were on our tickets were back underneath the grandstands in the old-fashioned wooden seats. So the wooden seats that didn't have any give or any pad on them, that really wasn't helping my case at all very much.
No, I couldn't imagine that. Vince Fiore's day is done. 10th hit for the Bourne Braves, and see Trace Barrera walking back there. And
gosh, that burnt orange looks good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns.
I'm surprised that you weren't at the home run derby at least for Trace to try and either cheer him on or heckle him. Now,
he doesn't need either one. I'm sure if you saw the Collegiate College World Series and I wasn't there to cheer or heckle him, he did just fine there too. Didn't have the day at the Cape Cod League home run derby that he wanted, but still had a blast.
What were you doing during the All-Star game?
I was resting, and I probably was around that time was out to eat with this guy, Nick Eicholtz, and Reagan Bazar.
Now, is Bazar growing the mustache back? Is that happening?
Word on the street is that he misses it, so he's trying to slowly but surely grow it back. But a stash like he had takes a good couple months to grow. So while we're still in the Cape, I don't think we're going to see the bizarre stash that he had before he shaved it. Tragic, I know.
Now, before we bring Nick Eicholtz on, is there anything else you would like to say? Because, and are you going to be joining us again on Thursday up here?
I'm going to try my absolute best. You know, with my injury sidelining me, I want to be able to contribute one way or another, and I feel like contributing to the wonderful fans of Cotuit through this radio broadcast is the best I can do right now.
I love the attitude. Travis Duke, thank you so much for joining us. Nighthawk out, as you like to say?
Blackhawk out. Absolutely love being here. Thank you for having me yet again.
Travis Duke, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, as we'll have Logan James come on here, the lefty from Stanford, as we'll bring Nick Eicholtz on. Lefty-lefty matchup. Martin at second, Sullivan at first. Laird shows bunt, slices it foul towards the Kettleers dugout. 0-1 on Laird. Laird tripled back in the third. Logan James, stats on the year. A 1-3 record, a 7.44 ERA. This his 9th appearance. As Nick Eicholtz joins us now. And Nick, you're the quieter of the Eicholtz-Duke pair, but Travis seems to bring out the most in your personality.
Oh, definitely. He's a funny guy, but if I get around the right guys, you know, my personality comes out. So
fastball high and into Laird. He has to duck out of the way of it. Logan Taylor charging in on the grass at third, as is Brendan Hendricks at first. 1-1 on Laird. But your start against Orleans on Saturday, would you think that that's your best start of the year? You had command of your fastball. You were pretty much keeping it low in the zone the entire time. What felt different about that start on Saturday than your previous starts?
honestly, it felt like, you know, back in high school, you know, the beginning of the Alabama year, where I could just throw any pitch at any point. Had the curveball, changeup, and fastball all working. So, you know, I was just confident. You know, I would have liked to go a little longer, but, you know, pre-game routine already was our setup, so it's all right.
Curveball hits the paint. 1-2 on Mark Laird. James, third base side of the rubber. Pitch on the way. Fastball misses high. Count even at 2-2. Now, Logan James has got a great curveball. Would you say that it's Barry Zito-esque?
Oh, definitely. He reminds me of Barry Zito.
In hair, personality, the fact that he's from California, you'd say that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at that.
Looper, shallow left field. It drops for a hit. Rounding third, Martin Glines picks it up. Throw is cut off. RBI single for Mark Laird. Braves now lead at 2-0. Brett Sullivan moves up to third. Curveball hit there as Nick Eicholtz looks at the stat sheet. Do you ever look at your stats, or are you a guy that likes to avoid that as much as possible?
No, I haven't looked at all since I've been up here. I was just looking to see what Logan, how many strikeouts he has, because every single time he goes out, it's like at least 10 per 9 innings.
Travis Duke's now looking at the stat sheet. Surprised he's not looking at the ads on the back. Those are upside down. No, now they're right side up. Xander Wheel steps in. He's 0-3. First pitch to Wheel. Fastball misses low and in. So what was your All-Star game break like? Did you do anything special or eat anything special or something like that?
Just hung out with this scrub behind me. Went to the Red Sox game yesterday with my host family. Had a lot of fun.
Fastball misses high and away. 2-0 the count on Xander Wheel. Was that your first time at Fenway Park?
It was, actually. I had a lot of fun. Not a big Red Sox fan, but the park itself is awesome.
Now, growing up in Florida, who did you root for?
The Rays.
The Rays.
Yep.
Now,
even when they were terrible.
Even when they were terrible. Hey, that's loyalty. 2-0, curveball hits the low inside corner. Count to 2-1. Now, do you think the Rays are going to keep making a run, or do you think that they should trade David Price at this point? What is the best for the future of the Tampa Bay Rays?
I think if they keep him, they'd make the playoffs because of how good their pitching's throwing right now. But
Xander Wheel pokes it right to Brendan Hendricks. Throw back to first, or dive back to first, not in time to double off Mark Laird. A nice play by Brendan Hendricks over at first. 2 outs for Blake Davey. Now, Blake Davey, I got to say, better comparison, Jason Worth or Michael Morse?
Michael Morse.
Michael Morse for sure. I would say that because the flow,
the beard, Worth's beard is a little bit more shaggier than Michael Morse, but I mean, body type looks very similar. It also doesn't hurt that Michael Morse wears 38 and Blake Davy wears 37. Fastball, first pitch from Logan James, misses away.
Where does he go to school?
Davy, UConn.
UConn.
So, George Springer, disciple. George Springer, very much the guy who helped UConn baseball get on the map. 1-0, fastball misses inside. Count to 2-0 on Blake Davy. Davy, I wish I had that type of hair or that type of beard.
You can do it.
No, I can't. I do not have the physical ability to grow hair. Look at my arms. Look at my legs. See? No hair. Nowhere.
You just don't grow it?
I have a disease where I can't grow it. Davy hits down the ground, down the third base line, fair. Taylor dives, he can't get it. Sullivan comes in and scores, and Blake Davy continues to mash against Cotuit. An RBI single, and it's now 3-0 Braves here in the top of the 7th. Laird moves up to second.
Pretty sure all of his hits have come against us.
Not all of his hits, but a lot of his hits.
A lot of them.
Well, Blake Davy is a guy that he either gets a hit or he strikes out. There's really nowhere in between. He's got 41 strikeouts in 125 at-bats this season. First pitch to Blake Allemond. Hits the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Now, when talking about Travis Duke, what are the most appealing part of his physical features as Allemond swings and misses, count to 0-2? Now, keep it PG when we talk about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go with. Ah, man. I'd say first he's just a big teddy bear. And then second, his facial hair is just incredible.
0-2, fastball misses away. Count to 1-2 on Allemond.
Just give it a month, let it grow a little bit. As he's blushing.
I feel like Travis Duke is the type of guy that could turn into a nouveau Brian Wilson if he wanted to.
That's what you asked me last time, how their conversation would be.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. I'm really impressed that you remembered that.
Yeah.
But you want to know the reason about why Brian Wilson became a reliever? It's actually a very interesting story.
Tell me about it.
He hated doing the bucket so much. He went to his coach and said, I want to be a reliever in the minor leagues because I don't want to do the bucket. I'd rather pitch one inning, possibility every other day, than start and have to do the bucket the day after.
I hate the bucket, but I don't hate it that much. That's for sure.
1-2, fastball misses high. Count even at 2-2 on Allemond. Allemond from Texas A&M. It's Travis Duke. Now, when you're broadcasting, you got to be in the zone. Now, what would it be like? 2-2. Allemond hits down to left center field. Jeremy Taylor charges in on it, dives, and he makes the catch. What a catch by Jeremy Taylor, and Mark Laird is doubled off second. Woo. Wowza. JT with a phenomenal catch, a double play, high fives all around, and that'll do it for this inning, 7th inning stretch time. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, high fives all around, high fives, as Nick Eichholz joins us. 7th inning stretch time, 3-0 Bourne. They do get 2 in this half inning. Kettleers try and add 3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Service.
Bourne scores 2 in the top of the 7th inning. Lucas Laster out for his second inning of work. 3-0 Braves. Kyle Holder leads it off for the Cotuit Kettleers. He's 1 for 2. First pitch shows bunt, pulls back. Misses inside for a ball. 1-0. Brendan Glasheen rejoins me here on the broadcast. Those two are a riot. They're just a load of fun. And I don't know how Nick Eicholtz keeps his composure with Travis Duke just ultimately distracting him behind. Holder loops it right to Richie Martin Jr. at short. He squeezes the ball in his glove. Holder retired for the second time in a row. 1 gone for Logan Taylor.
I wonder if Travis Duke never even came to the Cape. How that bullpen chemistry would even exist. And if Nick Eicholtz would be as outgoing as he is. Because Travis Duke is a contracted pitcher with the Kettleers, but given how long Texas was in the College World Series, heck, if they went further, I mean, who knows if Travis Duke could be making the impact he has. He's certainly a good guy to have around.
Logan Taylor's 2 for 2. First pitch fastball misses low for ball 1. Taylor has reached in 14 of his last 15 via a base hit. Been hitting .351 over his last 10 games. Fastball misses low and away. Counts 2-0 on the third baseman from Texas A&M. I remember we had Nick Eicholtz up in the booth one of the first days he was here, and he was a little shy, but since he's come up with Travis Duke, 2-0, fastball misses low, 3-0. He's been quite outgoing. He's been a lot of fun. He's always got a big smile on his face. It's hard not to when you're around Travis Duke. 3-0 from Laster. 4-pitch walk. Fastball misses high and away. The Kettleers try and get a rally going as Logan Taylor has reached for the 3rd time today, and Drew Jackson is pinch hitting for Jordan Ebert. And I have to imagine Drew Jackson has struggled at the plate, but Jordan Ebert has made some bad plays defensively today. He made an error, and then in the last half inning on the bunt single by Brett Sullivan, he spaced out and didn't cover first, and Sullivan reached the bag without any attempt of a throw. So Coach Roberts may be punishing Jordan Ebert by not letting him hit and putting Drew Jackson out there. Jackson, pinch hitter from Stanford. Short lead for Logan Taylor, first pitch swinging. Skies it out to right field. Mark Laird backs up on it, makes the catch, and whips it back in. Logan Taylor retreats to first. 2 gone.
You have to remember, though, with Jordan Ebert in his defense, he's normally an outfielder. With Auburn playing out of position at second base, he does have capabilities of playing in the infield. But, hey, if it's a situation where you can take away an at-bat to maybe send a message, you do everything you can. I mean, that error back earlier in the ball game was an atom ball on a slow roller that he should have made.
First pitch from Lucas Laster, curveball to Jeremy Taylor, misses away for ball 1. Taylor singled back in the 5th. Dating back to their game against the Wareham Gatemen, Laster delivers. Fastball, outer paint, called for a strike 1-1. The Kettleers have not scored a run in their last 26 innings. Their last run came in the 3rd inning against Wareham on Friday. 1-1, swing and a miss. Nasty curveball from Laster. 1-2 on JT. So we talk about how the offense has bailed the pitching out this year, but now one of the reasons why the Kettleers have struggled, the bats have disappeared. When you don't score a run for 26 innings, that shows you've got the inability to drive guys in. And it's not like the Kettleers haven't gotten runners in scoring position. 3 guys have been in scoring position today for Cotuit. Now, relatively, that's not a lot, but still, you got to execute when you're given those opportunities. Laster sets in the stretch. Small lead for Taylor at first. Davey holds him on. 1-2. Taylor hits it right to Richie Martin Jr. Big hop. He flips to second. Sullivan tags the bag, forces out Logan Taylor. A one-out walk, but the Kettleers fail to do anything with it. 3-0 Braves after 7. Brendan Glasheen, my broadcast partner, my good friend, and the man to my left will take you home here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor.
Start of the 8th inning at Lowell Park. The Bourne Braves lead the Cotuit Kettleers 3-0. Bourne just 2 innings away from evening this season series at 3 games apiece, the 6th and final time the two clubs go head-to-head. 7, 8, and 9 to step in for the Bourne Braves offensively. Bader, Collins, and Wren expected to bat against Logan James. Left-hander from Stanford into the windup. First pitch to Bader. A fastball upstairs and away. The right-handed hitter from Florida. 1 for 2 in the ball game. Defensive changes for the Kettleers. Drew Jackson now at third base. Logan Taylor takes over for Ebert at second. The 1-0. Fastball popped to the right side. Brendan Hendricks charging towards the first baseline. It creeps out and hits the top of the chain link fence. Bounces out of play. The count 1-1.
James's job here is to make sure, and those 2 insurance runs back in the 7th were huge because Bourne really hadn't been hitting it offensively. But now Cotuit, whose offense has been putrid over the last 3 ball games.
1-1, a bender that misses outside. Off the end of the glove of Barrera, 2-1. The first run of the game came back in the 5th inning. Stephen Wren scored on a Brett Sullivan RBI single. Greg, as you would hear to, the 2 runs that scored in the 7th makes the score 3-0 Bourne. Fastball away, 3 balls, 1 strike.
And I think what's important, though, to note is that, this offense is seemingly trying to do too much at one time, and that's the reason why they haven't scored a run in 26 straight innings.
3-1 offering on the way to Bader. Fastball upstairs above the letters, ball 4. Bader's down to first. He reaches base for the 2nd time today. First time not via a hit. Gavin Collins, the catcher from Mississippi State, steps in.
My math is wrong. 24 straight innings. But still, the precedent is accurate in the fact that you basically haven't scored a run for over 2 full ball games.
And we always talk about this ball club and its struggle to throw strikes on the pitcher's mound. Cotuit has not walked a batter today. A throw over from first to check in on Bader. The center fielder from Florida leads from first base. Gavin Collins batting from the right side. A 3-0 Bourne Braves lead on the Cotuit Kettleers. 6 games to go in the Cape Cod Baseball League season. First pitch on the way, a number down the third baseline. Jackson gobbles it up, throw to first to retire Collins. The sacrifice works as planned as Bader advances to second on Jackson's throw across the diamond. Nice play by Drew Jackson, who has just checked into the ball game defensively for the Kettleers. But you look at the line tonight, Vince Fiore went the first 6 innings, scattered 10 hits, allowed the 3 runs. Walked nobody and struck out 4. Logan James allowed the hits to score the 2 other runs, but the runs, of course, charged to Fiore, responsible for the base runners. First pitch change up low and in the dirt. Out in front of home plate, picked up by Barrera. 1 ball, no strikes on Stephen Wren. A calm, beautiful summer night at Lowell Park. Only 2 more games in Cotuit this season. The 1-0. Curveball called a strike by Tim Farwick, the home plate umpire. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wren, 0 for 2. Reached base back in the 5th, scored the first run of the ball game. Curveball low and in, the runner's off. Barrera's throw, a sidearm flip down the third base line. Jackson's tag is way late. So Bader steals third on the pitch in the dirt. 2 balls, 1 strike on Wren with 1 out. Top of the 8th. Bourne has 12 hits on 3 runs. Cotuit just 5 hits. No runs scored today. As Greg said, 24 straight innings of 0-run production from the offense. James is in the windup now, 2-1. Squaring around is Wren. He pulls back. Takes the pitch outside, 3 balls, 1 strike.
And the new man, starting to get loose up in the bullpen, Will Stillman. Just added today, Luke Leftwich's teammate at Wofford.
Mike Roberts now out to visit the mound with Logan James. Has not signaled towards the pen. Will he go to Will? We don't know. Roberts is looking over towards the Bourne dugout for some reason. Now he's back facing his players, all the infielders meeting at the mound. You know how Mike Roberts works. He goes out and stalls a little bit, then he might make the call to the pen, then he may not. This is a 3-1 count. We have seen Mike Roberts go with the hook in the middle of an at-bat. It seems like this is strategy here because now he's talking with Brendan Hendricks. And that's all it is. 3 balls, 1 strike on Stephen Wren. Kettleers have lost 4 straight games twice this year. They could do it again today if this deficit holds. Infield now entirely in after the conversation with the head man, Mike Roberts. Can't spot Harvey Shapiro down the first base line. Harvey's over at third. Pitch low and in, ball 4. So Wren walks. Now it's first and third with 1 out. Logan James still on the hill to face the red-hot Richie Martin Jr. Now does Mike Roberts go with the pitching change?
I don't think Stillman is ready, considering that he's barely throwing, and the fact that the catcher, the bullpen catcher, is not even in a crouch. So I figure that Stillman will probably come in for the 9th. If it gets bad here, he'll probably relieve James.
Still a winnable ball game on both ends. The first pitch, a fastball in the outside corner to the right-handed hitting Richie Martin Jr. Shortstop from Florida. Was 0 for 2 in Sunday's All-Star game. Today he's 2 for 4. 2 groundouts to start his day and back-to-back singles in the 5th and 7th innings respectively. 0-1 from James. Fastball misses away. Barrera goes to the backhand and nubs it out of the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out in the top of the 8th. 3-0 Bourne. Kettleers are 3-2 in this season series. First game was played here in Cotuit back on June 17th. A 7-6 Kettleers win. The 1-1. Swing and a miss. Martin Jr. right through a curveball low and in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's funny because you look at the score, Greg. It's 3-0 Bourne. In games decided by 3 runs or less, the Braves are 15-3. And when they have the lead beyond the 6th inning, they're 20-1. This club knows how to close close games. James sets 1-2. Pitch in the dirt out in front. Martin throws up the stop sign towards Harrison Bader down the third base line. Still first and third, 2-2 the count.
But that 1 loss was back on July 8th here against the Cotuit Kettleers.
That's right. Cotuit won the game 9-5 on some clutch hitting. The offense, though, as we mentioned, has gone stagnant in the last handful of ball games. James sets, looks at Wren at first. The lefty hurls the 2-2. Chopped out in front towards the third baseman. Drew Jackson goes to the bare hit. Now he trips himself up. The run comes in to score. Bader scores on a slow roller by the pitcher's mound. Jackson picks it up but no play, and it's now 4-0 Braves. I almost thought that ball hit off Martin Jr., but no call from Tim Farwick, home plate umpire, and now Mike Roberts making his second trip to the mound means the day done for James. And the new pitcher is going to be the newest addition, Will Stillman, the incoming junior at Wofford College. We'll check him out next right here on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. It's 4-0 Bourne with 1 out in the top of the 8th. Runners at first and second base. We'll be back.
Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years.
4-0 Braves in the top of the 8th with still just 1 out. Logan James removed from the game by Mike Roberts, and the new Kettleer pitcher is a newcomer. It's Will Stillman of Wofford College.
Will Stillman this season at Wofford, a 1.55 ERA over 46 in the third innings pitched. He made 34 appearances this season for Wofford. That led the team. He had 5 wins. That led all relievers. He also had 4 saves and an opponent's batting average of only 135. And get this, he only had 26 walks.
That's been an issue with this club. Leads the Cape League in walks and hit batters. Stillman's first pitch, a fastball at 91 on the outside half to Brett Sullivan, left-handed hitter from Pacific. Brett 2 for 4 in the game with a pair of singles. Scored Stephen Wren to get the game's first run. Pitch popped up down the right field line. Soars out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Stillman from Matthews, North Carolina, attended Charlotte Christian High School. He sets just above his belt. The righty deals the 1-1. Curveball, too far and in. 2 balls and a strike. His favorite TV show is White Collar, and he likes March of the Penguins. It's his favorite movie.
I like penguins.
2-1 pitch from Tillman. Knocked down the first base line off the chain link fence. It scares some Bourne players. I like this. His favorite candy, according to the Wofford Terriers website, is Sour Patch Kids.
Wow.
That's a throwback.
That to me is basically like the little kid candy. So he's got a little kid in him.
Yeah. It's 2-2. Tails in. It hits. No, it does not hit him. I thought Farwick had said it hit him. Goes off the inside of home plate to the left-handed hitter Sullivan. It rolls to the backstop, so the runners advance. Martin Jr.'s up to second. Wren's down to third. With just 1 out, The Kettleers are still in this ball game, folks. It's just 4-0. Bourne entering today hits as a team at .262 with runners in scoring position. They failed a few times today in those situations. 2-2. Sullivan pops it up in the infield. Brendan Hendricks calls for it to the left of the pitcher's mound, makes the catch, as Tillman retreated towards the first base bag to cover. Big second out. Sullivan's gone on the pop-out, and now the all-star Mark Laird has a chance.
This game has only reached the 2-hour mark. It's been a relatively quick game, but man alive, is it getting dark quickly.
In the month of August, Kettleer fans, we are starting our ball games at 4 p.m. as opposed to 5. Or check that, 4:30, I think, because of the darkness. This one struck down the right field line, a long run for Norwood. This pitch is going to bounce off the fence. Norwood collides with the fence. The run comes in to score. Shapiro's waving him all the way around. An inside the park home run. Jake Fincher is the... oh, check that. Doesn't look good. Norwood is down the right field line. Craig Moody, the trainer, out to right field. We'll take a timeout as well. 7-0 Braves on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought...
We're back at Lowell Park. The Bourne Braves score 3 runs on an inside-the-park home run by Mark Laird, the all-star right fielder from LSU. So the base is cleared of Braves. Xander Wheel, the DH, batting. John Norwood has left the game due to injury. Made an attempt at the ball hit by Laird in right center. Norwood collided with the fence. Tillman's first pitch misses away to Xander Wheel. The count 1-0. Into the game now for the Kettleers, Jake Fincher in right field. Tillman working in the windup with the feet spread apart across the rubber. The righty works the 1-0. Fastball misses away. 2 balls, no strikes.
Norwood got up and walked off the field under his own power, so that's a very, very good sign, but no prognosis as to what exactly his injury is.
2-0, hammered into left center. It falls in front of Jeremy Taylor in the left center field gap, a base hit for Xander Wheel. His first hit of the ball game today. He's teammates with John Norwood as well as Rhett Wiseman. Back-to-back games in which you see a Vanderbilt Commodore injured. Now, the injury to Rhett Wiseman was obviously a lot more disappointing considering his season and career, most likely, with the Kettleers all done. But Wiseman went home over the weekend due to the fractured right hand, a pitch 0-1 on the outside corner to Blake Davey. And now, as you said, Norwood walked off on his own power. He should be okay, but you never know. 0-1. Davey swings and misses. He's a confusing guy to figure out at the plate because you figure a guy that hits this team so well, those middle strikes of the at-bat, those first and second strikes, man, sometimes he looks silly up there. You know who he kind of reminds me of? He looks like Jared Saltamalaki a little bit. He's got the hair flowing out of the helmet. He's got the big beard. 0-2. He's the former Boston Red Sox, now plays for the Miami Marlins.
We were saying, actually, during the middle of the 7th, that when Travis Duke and Nick Eichholz were on, that he looks a lot more like Michael Morse of the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
Kind of a combo between Michael Morse and Jason Worth.
He's got the salty back hair, though, don't you think?
Morse has that. At least Morse had that when he was playing with the Seattle Mariners.
And now Trace Barrera shaken up behind home plate. Craig Moody's got his right hand on his shoulder. Barrera just has his head down. Just needs a deep breath, I guess. Seems to be okay. And now it might be something with his throat. Moody just testing things out with Barrera. Everything seems to be okay. Barrera and Moody just chatting. 1-2 the count on Blake Davey with 2 outs in the top of the 8th. You know, Greg, you made the comment about this game whizzing right along and the darkness starting to show at Lowell Park. Well, this 8th inning has taken quite a bit. Considering the Kettleers are losing 7-0, they'll be able to hit in the 9th unless they make some sort of huge rally in the 8th. Barrera's okay. Will remain in the ball game. Xander Wheel, the runner at first base. Blake Davey, the UConn first baseman, stands back in on the right side. Tillman, the right-hander from Wofford College, making his Kettleers debut. 1-2 pitch oncoming. Here it is. Swing and a miss. Fastball away, gets Davey swinging and missing to retire the side. 7.5 done at Lowell Park. And things have gotten ugly. 4 runs in the 8th gives Bourne a 7-0 advantage on the Kettleers. Last of the 7th, stretch time. Last of the 8th, stretch time's already over. We'll come back for the bottom of the 8th at Lowell Park on the Cape Cod
Today's
Baseball
broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and
Jackson Glines, the batter for the Kettleers, to lead off the bottom of the 8th. The count 0-1 to Glines. A fastball on the outside corner. Laster still in the game for Bourne. Lefty kicks and delivers the 0-1 pitch. Curveball that tails away. Check down the third base line to Scott Bova, the third base umpire. No swing, 1-1. Now joining us in the booth, one of our Kettleer beat writers, Matt Schneidman. As Laster deals the 1-1 pitch. Change up on the outside corner. Glines just stares at it 1-2. So Matt, we were talking about it off the air. 25 straight innings the Kettleers have gone scoreless. And perhaps we'd like some insider information as the fastball's up and in. What do you think has gone wrong with this offense?
Yeah, you know, well, you saw that right there with Norwood. There have been a couple of injuries. Obviously, Rhett Wiseman's out of the lineup, but now with 25 straight scoreless innings, it was the bats were providing all the power.
2-2, Glines shoots it down the first base line. Foul, no play for Brian Bamanek, the first base umpire. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 7-0 Bourne with nobody out in the bottom of the 8th. The fans are starting to file out of the Slotnick family grandstand. 2-2 pitch. Glines sits back and waves it into right field, a base hit.
Shouldn't speak too soon, but as I was saying, the bats for a big stretch about a week or two ago would be the ones to pick up the pitching, and we'd always see the bats crawling the team back into the game for a comeback. But these past couple of games, not as much today, but especially the last game against Orleans, with 10 innings of scoreless ball. The pitching is starting to really come together. Vince Fiore, Trey Wingenter, Nick Eicholtz, as you saw against Orleans, but the bats have hit sort of a slump, so maybe we'll see him break out of that tomorrow against Hyannis.
Leadoff single for Glines. He's at first. A first pitch fastball outside to Jamison Fisher, 1-0. You mentioned the game against Orleans, an 11-inning ball game that Cotuit lost 1-0. From the bottom of the 3rd of that game to the top of the 6th, neither team between Orleans and Cotuit had a hit. The 1-0, a change up on the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. I mean, games like that, I guess you just allow those types of things to happen. A pitcher's duel that we haven't seen many of this year with this ball club, but considering where Cotuit sits in the standings right now, as Fisher points the bat out in front, Laster's looking in long, and now time is called. You consider where they are in the standings, now in 4th place by just a half a point. Hyannis is winning their ball game right now against Falmouth. Cotuit might end with that last spot, and it could be worse unless if Wareham makes a run.
You know, I saw a stat the other day. Cotuit is 5-8 this year in one-run games. Obviously, the most one-run games played, you'd assume, but also the most one-run losses. So, at times, their bats have been able to win them in close games. At times, not. But obviously, it doesn't help if a 1-0 deficit, like you saw here in the 6th, turns into 7-0 in 1 or 2 innings.
2-1 to Fisher. Tails out and away, and now Collins out to chat with Laster. 3 balls, 1 strike on Jamison Fisher.
And you talked about how against Orleans there was a long stretch there where they went scoreless. You haven't seen that often here, aside from these last 25 innings, like I said. But at any time, obviously, John Norwood, Fisher, Jake Fincher, although he's been in a slump, Jackson Glines, at any time this team's capable of putting up multiple runs in an inning. And I think as long as they keep a game within 2, 3, even 4 runs at any time, they have a chance of winning regardless of what inning it's in.
This pitch chopped again down the first base line, out of play. The count now 3-2. It's funny because you talk about the offensive production being lackadaisical. Well, the game against Wareham, remember, both teams combined had 9 errors. So the runs they did score in the 2nd and 3rd innings, some were unearned runs. I think one of them was. 3-2 to Glines. Fastball away, rather Fisher, ball 4. Glines up to 2nd. Fisher's down to 1st. The Kettleers have a little something going here. 1st and 2nd with nobody out. Jake Fincher batting in the spot of John Norwood due to his injury in the last half inning. He'll slide in and bat. Fisher Fincher was 0 for 5 in the All-Star game yesterday. Had a rough day at the plate, which compares similarly to his struggles this month. Since he got that batting title lead over Kevin Newman of Falmouth, everything has just gone backwards for Mr. Fincher. First pitch to him. Fastball at the thighs on the inside corner, 0-1.
And even lately, we've seen, for the first part of his slump, Mike Roberts was starting him, but he just wasn't producing. Now Roberts has taken him out of the lineup completely, and you see today he only comes in when an injury occurs. So you'll have to wonder if that'll continue heading into the home stretch.
0-1 pitch, sits back and looks at a fastball. It's 0-2. You're right, second straight game Fincher has entered a ball game due to injury. He took over for Rhett Wiseman after an injury in the first inning against Orleans at Eldridge Park on Saturday night. Did start the All-Star game on Sunday. 0-2. Fincher jumps out of the way, a fastball inside to the right-handed hitter from NC State.
And going back to what you said about Wareham, we talked to Roberts after the game, and he said he's never, ever seen a scoreboard like that in his 40 years of coaching. I mean, 9 combined errors, a 6-2 game with 4 combined hits. I mean, that's not something the Kettleers want to see heading into the home stretch.
1-2. Fastball popped up. No shot for Collins to make a play in the on-deck circle of Bourne. 1-2 with nobody out in the 8th. Glines at second. Fisher is at first. 7 runs, 15 hits for Bourne. No runs for the Kettleers tonight. 6 hits total.
We see Trace Barrera on deck. Thankfully, he wasn't shaken up too bad from that play last half inning, so he'll continue to play in the ball game.
1-2. Fincher hits it on the ground towards first. Picked up by Davey. He'll take it himself and tag the bag for the sure out. The runners advance into scoring position. Glines to third, and Fisher up to second. So 1 out now for Barrera. Was shaken up last half inning, as Matt just mentioned. Now, what do you think? I mean, 6 games to go, including this ball game. So let's say 5 games to go. 2 more here at Lowell Park, 3 on the road. You have to go to Hyannis tomorrow. You have to go to Wareham on Friday. And we travel to Falmouth on Sunday. Pitch outside, 1-0. They've played well against the top-tier teams. 6-3 against Bourne and Falmouth combined. But that Wareham game Friday, that would be something if it had some sort of impact based on the standings.
That certainly would be interesting. I mean, even though Hyannis and Wareham, the 2 teams towards the bottom of the Western Division along with Cotuit.
1-0 to pitch, a curveball low and in at 79 from Laster.
Cotuit stands at 2-6 against those teams. I mean, really struggled at times against Wareham and Hyannis, so it'll be interesting to see if towards these last 6 games when it really, really matters, if Cotuit can pull out those wins. They'll probably make the playoffs, but to see if they can get up to that 3rd seed.
2-0 slap towards third base, and now it's a pickle between second and third. The tag applied by the third baseman, Aleman. The run does score on the pickle between second and third. Glines in. It's now 7-1. The tag on Fisher makes it 2 outs in the inning. So that's a slapper down the third base line. It looked like Aleman bobbled it a bit, then picked it up, was able to get the sure out on the runner running towards third base. So the run in. Fisher's retired between second and third base. The tag applied by Aleman, the third baseman. So the Kettleers finally on the board after 25 straight innings of scoreless ball. And Barrera at first base on the fielder's choice. You want to talk about Wareham and their end of the season. Well, we'll give it to you in a moment. This pitch fouled to the right side. No balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, the likelihood seems that Cotuit will make the playoffs, but certainly not a lock yet. So it'll be interesting to see if Cotuit does drop those 2 games to Hyannis. That would really make that game at Spillane Field a lot more interesting, but you never know. Same thing is happening in the Eastern Division too with Brewster and Chatham, but these last couple games really should be interesting for both divisions.
Fastball high and away. It's Ian Rice, the batter. He's pinch hitting for Brendan Hendricks. Rice batting from the right side. The catcher, hopeful transfer to Houston next year. Collins sets up inside. It goes off the inside of the barrel. 1-2 on Rice. Bad luck on that pitch. You look at the schedule for Wareham to finish up. They'll be traveling to Brewster tomorrow. They have to go to Falmouth on Thursday, host Cotuit Friday, go to Bourne on Saturday, and then they're hosting Bourne again, a home and home with Bourne to close the year. So you look at that, fastball misses away 2-2. These next two might be their hardest games, considering Brewster is playing for a playoff spot. Falmouth can still catch Bourne, possibly, unless the Kettleers are able to come back. So if Wareham can squeeze out these next two road games, who's not to say, and that obviously also would have to include Katuitt losing, as Rice strikes out a high fastball from Laster to end the 8th. Well, Matt, thank you for joining us up in the booth for some analysis on this sliding Kettleers club. The score, 7-1. The Katuitt Kettleers snatch a run in this half inning. We'll go to the 9th at Lowell Park. A 6-run deficit for Katuitt on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary, a Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Katuitt Athletics Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettle.
Top of the 9th inning at Lowell Park, a 7-1 deficit for the Kettleers. 6, 7, and 8 to bat for Bourne. First pitch to Blake Alamon, the left-handed hitter from Texas A&M. Takes a bender on the outside corner. 0-1 from Will Tillman, entering for his first full inning of work as a Kettleer. 0-1 pitch. Fastball. Misses the outside half. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tillman of Wofford College. We've talked about him a little bit. Pitch laced to the left side. Taylor makes a sliding grab. Nicely done. Jeremy Taylor proving why his glove should be out in left field. He's made 2 diving plays today. This one more of a slide and makes the catch. Stillman gets the first out. Want to apologize for getting the S.
The S is not silent in Stillman.
That's what I thought originally, so I'm just kidding. 1 out. Here in the 9th, Alamon retired on a Jeremy Taylor sliding grab in left field towards the left field line. A first pitch fastball, too far and away to Harrison Bader. Center fielder from Florida, walked and scored in the 8th. 1-0, swing and a miss. Chases an outside pitch, 1-1.
But it would be actually kind of cool if we altered our last names so that the first letter was silent. So I would be Greg Roz and you would be Brendan Lasheen.
1-1 pitch. Fastball outside. Bader's got a 2-1 advantage.
Lasheen sounds like a hard rocker name, like I'm Lasheen.
2-1. Fastball knee high for a strike. 2-2 on Bader.
A couple other good ones on our media staff. We'd have Matt Schneidman and Axel Owada.
2-2. Popped up to the right side out of play.
Our other writer would be Sam Lum.
If you said Owada, It almost sounds like you have a thick Boston accent, trying to say, like, water.
Axel Awada.
Can you get me a Awada?
Awada.
Can you get me a Awada? See? Swing and a miss. Curveball low and in. Stillman gets the strikeout for out number 2. This might be the only bright spot of the game tonight, besides these awkward last names. Stillman gets the strikeout. For out number 2, brings up Gavin Collins.
Sam Blum would be Sam Lum, which, I don't know, that doesn't sound that much different, though.
Yeah, Blum already sounds pretty boring. I think he knows it, too. First pitch, swing and a miss by Gavin Collins. Collins, the catcher for Mississippi State. 0 for 3 in the game, had a sacrifice bunt back in the 8th, a 4-run 8th for Bourne. And that has been the difference today, considering this was a close game prior to. A changeup taken on the outside half by the right-handed hitter. 0-2. Stillman getting ahead, has the glove just by his face, looking barely over the lip. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball up and in. All 2 strikes.
What might be cooler, actually, is if you switch the first letter of each of your names. So you would be Grendon Brasheen. Blasheen.
This is game 38. Come on. 1-2. Misses outside.
Grendon Blasheen and Mreg Graz.
Gregory Graz.
Gregory Graz.
2-2 pitch from Stillman. Curveball, nicely done. It bends north to south to strike out Collins. Back-to-back strikeouts by Stillman to retire the side. The Kettleers need 6 in the 9th to extend baseball at Lowell Park for the final time against the Bourne Braves. We'll go to the home half of the 9th inning. 7-1 Bourne on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. The Kettleers and Cotuit Athletic Association want to welcome Bank of Cape Cod as a premium sponsor and member of the Executive Kettleers Club. Bank of Cape Cod is a locally owned and managed commercial and community bank. Today's broadcast is proudly sponsored in part by Curry College, located in Milton, Massachusetts. It offers undergraduate and graduate degrees. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Care where you need it, when you need it. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by iHealth Services, proud sponsor of the Cape League for 14 years. Chatham Bars Inn is a leading sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League, celebrating its 100th anniversary. A Cape League sponsor for over 20 years.
Welcome back to Lowell Park, bottom of the 9th. Kettleers trail the Braves 7-1. Cotuit needs a rally because things are falling apart quickly. Kyle Holder, Logan Taylor, and Jordan Ebert coming up to hit for Cotuit. And a new pitcher into the game for the Braves.
Joe Kuja from St. John's making his first appearance with the Bravos this season. But at St. John's, he was pretty darn good. 0.97 ERA in 37 innings pitched, 13 saves in 28 appearances, a 179 opponent's batting average against.
Kuja, a right-handed pitcher. He'll face the left-handed hitter, Kyle Holder. Should correct myself. It will be Holder, Logan Taylor, and then Drew Jackson. Jackson took over for Jordan Ebert back in the 7th. 7-1. Kuja trying to close the deal with a 6-run lead. First pitch, fastball misses away. He starts his wind from the stretch, and has a very hard slide step towards home plate. Comes set just by his belt. Slices the 1-0, misses up and in. 2 balls, no strikes.
And this is a guy that St. John's is adding for the stretch run. I mean, you can't get better than a guy who had an ERA under 1.
2-0. Holder takes a curveball on the outside corner at 86, 2-1. Cotuit on the verge of losing their 4th straight game. A mark they've reached 3 times this year. 2-1. Popped up in shallow left center. Martin Jr.'s hard on the run in left center field and makes the basket catch over his left shoulder for out number 1 in the 9th. As we look ahead, Kettleer fans, tomorrow we will be in Hyannis, Massachusetts for a home-and-home with the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. The Barnstable Patriot Cup trophy on the line for Cotuit. They want to try and even the season series at 3 games apiece in these next 2 games. However, the current lead for Hyannis is 3-1. We'll be back at Lowell Park on Thursday. First pitch, a fastball, low and away to the right-handed hitting Logan Taylor. 1 ball, no strikes. Friday night, we'll be at Spillane Field in Wareham. On Saturday, back at Lowell Park against the Falmouth Commodores. 1-0 pitch. Fastball again away, same spot. Collins now out to chat with Kusha. So a home-and-home with Hyannis Wednesday, Thursday. A road trip at Spillane Field against Wareham, and then a home-and-home with Falmouth to close the season.
An important stretch of games, and especially with Hyannis getting hot at the right time and Wareham still in it. The Kettleers better be careful. They got to finish strong.
2-0 is nubbed just down the third base line. Kusha picks it up. The throw to first. Off line. Davey had to get off the bag, and now Logan Taylor, he remains the lone bright spot in the order. He's 3 for 3 today. Logan has really proved his worth at shortstop. Did not put up the numbers, or shouldn't say it that way, did not put up the big, sexy numbers early in the year. But playing in all 38 games for the Kettleers, he has done everything he's been asked, and above and beyond that. Drew Jackson looks at a fastball on the outside corner. Right-handed hitter from Stanford is 0 for 1, flew to right in the 7th, took over for Jordan Ebert in the ball game. If you look at Logan Taylor's numbers right now on the year, they're just remarkable considering where they were about a month ago now. Fastball away to Jackson. Logan Taylor hitting .285. 3 hits tonight will help the old average. Has the most at-bats on the team with 137. The next behind him is Jamison Fisher. He's 20 behind that. 1-1, hit over to third. Alamon goes to second for 1. The throw to first, not in time to turn 2. So Alamond goes to Sullivan at second for the sure out. So score at 5-4. Taylor back to the dugout. Jackson safe at first base. On the fielder's choice, Jeremy Taylor, the last chance for Cotuit. We'll have the Kettleers Insider post-game show directly after the conclusion of the ball game. First pitch to Taylor, a changeup at 79 on the outside corner. Left-handed hitter from East Tennessee State behind 0-1. Taylor, 1 for 3, but his efforts today have been seen out in the field. Has made 2 tremendous catches, one via the slide, one via the dive. 1-1.
Slide and dive. That sounds like a really good baseball-themed restaurant. Come on over to the Slide and Dive. We'll have baseball burgers and bat fries all around. Makes me hungry.
1-1. Taylor chops it over to first base. Davey makes the basket play, tags the bag with his left foot, and that's the ball game. The Bourne Braves tie the season series with the Cotuit Kettleers at 3 games apiece with a 7-1 win here at Lowell Park. Cotuit has lost 4 straight, and Bourne snaps their 3-game skid.
This was just a bad combination after the 5th inning. You got to give Vince Fiore a lot of credit. He gets charged with 3 runs in this ball game on the 2 inherited runs in the 7th. But Vince Fiore pitched a good ball game. The Kettleers are finally starting to get good starting pitching, and the starters are finally starting to not walk anybody. But when you can only score 1 run in the span of 26 innings, that also equates to 3 runs over 29 innings. That's not a recipe for success. That's basically averaging 1 run per game. And unless you have the best pitching staff in the world, 1 run per game is not going to win you anything.
The Kettleers fall 7-1. We'll have the Kettleers Insider postgame show up next. In case you listeners are heading off, be sure to join us tomorrow at 5:40 at McKeon Park in Hyannis. The Kettleers take on the Harbor Hawks. Again, Kettleers Insider postgame show starts now.
It's time for the Kettleers Insider postgame show on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. With a wrap on tonight's ball game, here's Brendan Glasheen and Greg Moraz.
Vince Fiore, charged with the loss in today's game, pitched 6 innings, allowed 10 hits, 3 runs, walked nobody, and struck out 4. Andrew Sopko gets the win for Hyannis. 5 innings pitched, allowed 5 hits, no runs, and walked 1, struck out 3. But Greg, you mentioned it was a 1-0 game back in the 5th. And after that, a 4-run top of the 8th really broke things open. An injury to John Norwood, a bunch of stuff going on in that 8th inning.
We also have to look at the 7th inning in which Bourne put their first 2 runners on via bunt singles. Bad defense once again for the Kettleers. Now granted, only 1 error, but there's no way that you should allow back-to-back bunt singles. That just is a sign of defensive mental inability to execute. But the story of the day still remains the fact that the offense can't seem to be able to do anything when it matters. I mean, Vince Fiore, through his first 4 innings, was perfect, and the Kettleers couldn't do anything for him. You look at the opportunities that Cotuit had. In the first 5 innings, Cotuit got 3 runners in scoring position, and they had a base runner on in every inning that Andrew Sopko pitched. They converted none of them. That's your story. When you get a guy like Andrew Sopko out there who's not going to overpower you, who's going to scatter hits around the field, you have to be able to take advantage because you know you're going to get guys on base against him.
When Bourne got that first run, they were just at 7 hits, so clearly they were getting the bat on the baseball early on. Now, they win this ball game. They were able to tie the season series. Cotuit started this series with a 3-1 record. That win came back at Cotuit 9-5 on July 8th. Bourne improves to 21-1 when winning after the 6th inning. That only loss that you mentioned during the broadcast was that July 8th game against Cotuit. Now looking at it, Greg, before we get into the out-of-town Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update, the Kettleers could see this club in a week come All-Star time, come playoff time. What is the mindset? At this point, of course, you'd rather get your own game fixed. But is it the worst thing in the world if Cotuit plays this team in the playoffs?
It's not the worst thing in the world, but you look at the last 2 ball games, Bourne in the last 2 games against Cotuit over the span of a week has outscored the Kettleers 19-5. That's not an encouraging sign if you're Mike Roberts' squad. That means that this team has figured you out. Now, Ryan Kellogg has thrown a lot of innings so far this year. There's no guarantee that he's going to be able to get into the playoffs. Jimmy Herget has struggled in his appearances against the Cotuit Kettleers. The only starters that have really dominated, the only starter who really truly dominated Cotuit this year was Sam Kemech. Andrew Sopko pitched 5 scoreless innings, but he didn't necessarily dominate the Kettleers today. He scattered a good amount of base runners over his 5 innings of work. But you look at the other side of it. Falmouth is a very, very potent offensive team. Probably more potent than this Bourne Brave squad. But then you also have to remember that you still got to try and beat Hyannis. And Bourne still has a chance of falling out of first place. There's a lot of moving parts here. The main key is this. Focus on your own game and at least try to start getting a winning streak going, because you've lost 4 games in a row. The last 2 games that you won were against 2 teams who are in the basement of the Eastern Division and are under 500, Chatham and Brewster.
Kettleers are getting the wins lately against the teams they should be beating, but the ball clubs that have come to town or they've traveled to, they're not getting the job done. Again, one last look at the standings. Hyannis is in action against Falmouth. They have a 3-0 lead in the 6th inning. We'll have more scores in a moment for the Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update. Katuitt drops to 16-22-1, and Bourne improves to 24-14-1. The team to look out for, those Wareham Gatemen, they're underway, and Greg, give us an update now to close us out on scores around.
But before we do that, there's one more point I would like to make, is that the Kettleers have lost 9 of their last 10 on the road. You've got 3 road games in your last 5 to finish the year. That is going to play a lot into positioning coming into the playoffs. If you can't win on the road, then you're probably going to be stuck in that number 4 spot. But before we focus on Hyannis, let's go around the league. Final at Red Wilson Field in South Yarmouth. The YD Red Sox beat the Orleans Firebirds 5-3, so YD back in a first-place tie with Orleans and Harwich atop the Eastern Division. Chatham and Brewster are still going. Bottom of the 8th, 12-7, Whitecaps. But that game will probably be darked out fairly soon. Brewster still trying to stay alive in the standings. They're 6 points behind the Chatham Anglers. With a win tonight, they'll end up 4 points behind. Still a chance to be able to get that 4th and final playoff spot. Bottom of the 6th at McKeon Park in Hyannis, the Harbor Hawks beating up on the Falmouth Commodores 3-0. Kettleers will face Hyannis tomorrow. Top of the 4th at Spillane, no score between Harwich and Wareham.
So there you had it, the Coca-Cola of Cape Cod scoreboard update. Refresh yourself and have a Coke. Final score here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers fall for their 4th straight game. It's the 3rd 4-game losing streak of the season. They look to snap that tomorrow night at McKeon Park in Hyannis. The Barnstable Patriot Cup comes to a close on Wednesday and Thursday, a home and home. It starts in Hyannis and closes in Katuitt. As Greg said, just 2 home games left at Lowell Park. 3 remain on the road for the Kettleers, who have lost 9 of 10 on the road. For Greg Moraz, I'm Brendan Glasheen signing off here at Lowell Park. Again, the final 7-1. Bourne defeats Katuitt to finish the season series at 3 wins apiece. Hope to see you tomorrow night from Hyannis at 5:40.
Thanks for tuning in to the Kettleers Insider Postgame Show on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Tonight's broadcast has been brought to you by Chatham Bars Inn, the Fuller Family Foundation, Curry College, iHealth Services, Cape Cod Healthcare, Coca-Cola, 99 Restaurants, Friendly's Ice Cream, Rockland Trust, Reebok, and